the Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that He used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding Him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you free. The Hebrew and Bible Academy, you're invited.
Come on in.
Is where we're from. The 12 tribes of Israel.
Blessings, brothers and sisters throughout the four corners of the earth.
721 BC.
I'm Elder Migratioin, the Gathering of Christ Church. Christ Church here to bring you some serious detailed prophetic information this evening. Shalom.
With the great escape we went through the Euphrates. The Lord held the water still. To a land where no mankind dwelt, we went.
Shalom. Hit the like button. Come on in.
Tribes of Israel. That's who we be. Manasseh, the Cubans, Ephraim from Puerto Rico, and Valley from the Isles of Hawaii. The Lord is calling back Israel. Zebulon from Panama, the North American Indians. The highest gathering is
Come on in.
The Arabs and Africans told us. Good point. Together our wives and children.
Shalom, shalom, shalom.
In the belly of these great ships we traveled in fear. By the rivers of Babylon we found our brothers here.
That's right. Ahia, gather us. I'm Elder Migratioin, the Gathering of Christ Church, brothers and sisters, here live with our weekly podcast broadcast, whatever you would like to call it. We've been coming on Wednesdays like forever, since about 2009 now. But I guess it has morphed into a podcast. Shalom. And I want to hear from you all today. Yes, we have an important broadcast this evening. Please hit the like button. Hit the like button. Of course, we're under a shadow ban. I don't know how long that will be. Probably until eternity, until infinity. But at least if you hit the like button, it will allow others on the outside of the broadcast to understand that we're broadcasting and through the algorithm, and make sure that after the broadcast, check to make sure you weren't unsubscribed. Okay, sometimes under the cover of night, they unsubscribe people from our channel. We've been at 118,000 subscribers like forever. So check to make sure, and we're grateful for all of you who are subscribed. Make sure that you haven't been unsubscribed, and if so, subscribe again and hit the notification bell. This way YouTube will probably notify you when we're actually broadcasting live. But I digress. First and foremost, I would like to say I thank the Most High for another opportunity to come before you, brothers and sisters. It's a blessed time, a prophetic time, but a time of trouble nonetheless. And I wanted to talk about that this evening. Okay, we have some guests that I'll probably get to come on tonight. My brother from the same mother, Ariel, who's over Chicago, actually. I'm going to see if I can call him in and chime in on the so-called migrant issues or the asylum issues over in Chicago. Now, I keep talking about this, but I'm going to give it more context today. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because this migration or asylum seeker thing politically they're putting out there to justify helping others is really a prophetic destruction against the children of Israel. Okay. Prophetic, it's called the desolation. Okay. The desolation of abomination. It's the desolation. It's the world powers under Satan coming against our people. And also on top of that, what they're doing is playing one against the other. And I want to bring it context, folks, today, so that we can get some true understanding and above all, some solutions to get under some level of spiritual hedge. Why? We're living in the times of the end. It's over. So we must also be protected from what's coming. Okay. Everything is not as most people think, folks. This is not by choice that this migration thing is happening right now. Okay. Now, what I was going to call it initially was desolation. Hold on, let me put this back down here. Initially, I was going to call it desolation after the pandemic, because it seems like a lot of things fell right on schedule when things begin to open up. But yet I digress. I want to keep it more so prophetic, but I'm going to show you politically how they're actually hoodwinking people, deceiving people, folks. And they cannot do this, destroy our people, without some level of complicity. What do I mean by that? Some people might ask, well, Elder, what do you mean by some level of complicity? Well, they couldn't do this against us, folks, if it wasn't a segment, a really faction within our people of our community that weren't willing to sell us out and or outright betray us. It would be impossible for them to actually destroy us unless there's some level of complicity. And when you go back in time, you'll realize that history is replete. I'm going to tell you right now, even the time of Christ, he was betrayed. Even the time where we were warned by Christ to leave at a certain time before the Romans came, you had the Pharisees and Sadducees and others who are operating with government just because they hated Christ. They was operating with the Roman government against our interests. So there's a reoccurring theme that I need to put in context today. And what I don't want to do is spend too much time on the monologue. I want to jump right into it to show you where we're going. The Bible says at the very end that we will betray one another, that the love of many shall wax cold. And through that, Satan would use these people for his political interest against the children of light. Folks, it's coming out. It can no longer be hid. We're the children of Israel. And this is why Satan is throwing everything against the wall. And again, I know a lot of people are reluctant to understand the significance of me stating our identity. You may think that it's a religious thing. It's a Bible thing. It's well beyond that, brothers and sisters. Us taking on the name of Israel now and give us an insight of the enemies who've always operated against our interests, against our promise, against our actual rising above oppression. Above oppression. So I'm not just going to talk about Judah today. I'm going to also talk about Levi. I'm going to talk about Asher, the other tribes, and how they playing one off against another. And now at the same time, Joe Biden claimed that the white population will be a vast minority in the future. The same time he's doing this, he's staving off Haitians and others from being able to come into the country, and looking predominantly to bring in those who could be what I would say could look multicultural or whatever the case is. But he's playing on their impoverished state also. So this is a way in which they can link into their own, to some degree, some of their own, not all, so that they can sustain their genealogy, which is a race war outright without people understanding. The Haitians are getting hell. And if they really cared about the Haitians, they would do what? They would have an actual folks, stipend, aid to Haiti, like we see aid to Israel today, like we see aid to Ukraine. If they really cared. But you notice they don't mind moving people around and off the areas after what? After oil and mineral resources and riches and all that is found in that particular area. You notice that. You notice they'll move people off the area so that they can now get the resources without letting the people benefit from it. There's a what? There's a reoccurring theme that we see in the destruction of all these other countries that so happen to be our people. The Haitians are Levi. They're the priests of the Almighty. Now, even though they're not the majority under the grace of the Almighty right now, being that they have sinned from their mantle as priests, and they began to go into voodoo and witchcraft and all these others, they're still God's people. And all of them don't dive in that stuff. And you know what? I'm going to tell you, folks, this is why they're being attacked. This is why Africa is getting attacked. This is why we are under a what? A biological warfare. And I'm going to tell you right now, we're under a biological warfare. We were once the most healthiest people in the earth. And now everybody that I know is on some type of meds. That's biological. So it's time for us to let you know that the identification of Israel is important so that we can understand, if not anything else, that we're under attack, and be able to go into the Bible to actually get some understanding to who's attacking us and why we're getting attacked. And it's deeper than some white man or white supremacy, because they can just use who? They can use any color people who are on board with their mission against Jacob, like they're doing now. So if you vaguely use white supremacy and the white man and all this other stuff, you tend to understand the higher arching issue, and thereby you'll get destroyed by one of Satan's devices. And one of his devices can actually be a person who looks just like you, which is the examples that's going to show forth today. When the betrayal piece. Okay, and we're going to talk about that. When we talk about those who's coming over from Venezuela, they're from the tribe of Asher. Asher. You notice that years ago when Chavez was living, Venezuela was one of the most rich countries on the earth, and their people, high tradition when it comes to being family oriented. Folks, they were one of the serious countries, from South America to be contended with. I mean, they weren't suffering soup lines and inflation and all these other. Let me tell you, the governments even before Chavez took care of their people. Why all of a sudden thousands of them are fleeing away? You know why? Because there was an embargo placed on Venezuela. An embargo that cut them out of being able to trade their most precious resource, which was oil. So there's enough oil that the Venezuelans are living on right now that can make sure that all of their people are straight. But why are they coming in boatloads over here? What is the agreement after Chavez was killed? No one is talking about the fact that the embargo have been lifted now, but it's under a different regime, which means that probably the world powers now have control over those resources that the Venezuelans needed to sustain their people. That's the part no one is talking about. Now, before I go into it, like I said, we have to understand who the children of Israel are to give world politics its proper context. So what we know prophetically about Asher that was shown to Moses. Elder Lawyer, if you will. Are you with me, Elder Lawyer?
Yes, sir. Shalom.
Shalom, Elder Lawyer. Let me give you a round of applause up in here. Elder Lawyer, without any further of ado, let's identify. Now, oh yeah, by the way, the blacks in America are the children of Israel. They're from the tribe of Judah. Okay. That's right. Now, that is not even open for debate. Now, I hear that there's a guy who probably want to come on. He's a Jewish guy, and he's out there, you know, and I think he want to come on the channel. We're going to see if he want to come on, and maybe, you know, we can just discuss the history. And I'm down with it. You know, I'm down for him to show me something and teach me something. If whatever claim he's dealing with is true concerning his history, we'll have a history discussion. I'm not even going to call it debate. Okay. I'll use Torah, which is the first 5 books of Moses. I'll use the Tanakh. Okay. And if he would like, hey, I got a Talmud over there too. We can open that up also. So I'm open for conversation. And soon we're going to have that discussion here. We got our people working on the background to set that up to have what? To have an honest conversation. I'm not making a claim. I'm telling you right now. The blacks in America are from the tribe of Judah. And I have all the history to prove that. And not only do I have the history to prove that, I got a history to prove every ethnicity, what part of Jewry they came into and at what time period in history. Whether you be white, East Indian, Arab, there was even Arabs from the second son of Ishmael who converted into Judaism during the time of Hyrcanus in the late 2nd century. Okay. Well, the mid to late 2nd century. You had Arabs too converting into Judaism. So I'm willing to get that conversation. So I'm not going into the religious conversion conversation of who can be something based on your religious persuasion. I'm not dealing on that. Who is your blood? Who is your blood? There was one man on the ark. His name was Noah. He had 3 sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. Okay. From what 3 of those sons you come through? If you believe in Torah. And if you say Shem, okay, I'm from Shem too. From what family do you come from out of Shem? You would say Abraham. Well, I'm from Abraham too. Well, what son out of Abraham do you come from? I submit we're from Isaac, Jacob, and the 12 tribes of Israel. And I also can prove that you're Esau and Ishmael. So let's put that on the table, because you can believe anything you would like to believe, but I can show you your daddy. And after showing you your daddy, I can show you how you're hiding behind a name that belongs to our people. And we can have an honest discussion so that now that if to get the record straight historically, now we can have an honest discussion on how we should support Israel with this newfound history and information that cannot be refuted. How do you now support us as Israel? And this is the discussion we need to have. So that and more, and I'm sure the guy is going to look at our page and all that, and I'm going to let you, and I'm totally respectful. I don't believe that all white people are bad. I don't believe that white people are the devil and all this other stuff. I believe every individual has a time and chance to do what's right, regardless of your race or religion, whatever the case is. I don't blame you for what your forefathers done or whatever the case is. All right. But if you walk in the veins of your forefather, if you walk in the lane of your forefathers and attack us like your forefathers has done, then you will be under the judgment of the Almighty and our Christ. I'm not here to judge that either. I'm here to set the record straight. We are the children of Israel. And this is why we're suffering as once, just like we were in Egypt. And let me emphasize that. So let's go, Elder Lloyd, let's go to Asher real quick. I got a floating table here.
All right.
Hold on. And thank you, brothers and sisters, for all your support. You know, I can get things like this floating table you see before you. All right, Elder Lloyd, let's go straight to Asher. Let's jump right into it. Give it Bible context, if you will.
Yes, sir. This is Deuteronomy chapter 24 or 33, verse 24.
Deuteronomy 33 and 24. Let's read it.
And of Asher he said, let Asher be blessed with children.
Let Asher be blessed with what?
With children.
With children. This is the end day prophecies that were given through our forefathers. The Most High said, let Asher be what? Blessed with children. Read.
Let him be acceptable to his brethren.
Let him be acceptable to the rest of his brethren, the rest of the 12 tribes. And this is why I'm not going to have an axe to grind against our brothers who are suffering and sisters who are suffering under oppression through international policy. That's why I'm not going to allow the enemy to look at the Venezuelans as enemies, because I understood that they're being used like pawns just like everyone else against their own interests, against our interests. So that's why the Bible says, let Asher be blessed with children, and that's why when they come over here, they family oriented first. And this is why they wanted Asher in particular, folks, to come over here. Okay. A lot of the 10 tribes, they're very family oriented and they love children. So how much better? Think about this. Every asylum seeker, or what they would call Asherite, that comes over here, according to the Bible, we know they're Asher. Once they have children, and they love having children, all of these people become a new voting bloc and they become American citizens. So it's not about the people that are coming over. It's their propensity to have children anywhere, a lot of them. Okay? So they can't take advantage of their homeland now that they've been sabotaged internationally. But they can darn sure come over here and get some relief, a money package, so that they can be politically utilized to do what? To move Judah out of the way in number. They don't believe in deleting their children. That's just not the way Asher does it. So if they've programmed us to believe that to be promiscuous, to be sinful, and also to get rid of our own children, so by default, we cannot threaten democracy as a voting bloc in the future. This is what they are doing, folks. And I'm going to show you in a moment. Let him be acceptable to his brethren. And this is why I'm not going to look down on Asher, who's the Venezuelans. Read. How do we know they're Venezuelan? Read that again. Read that last piece.
Yes, sir. Let Asher be blessed with children, and let him be acceptable to his brethren.
Hold up. Let me pull it up here. And what?
And let him dip his foot in oil.
And let him dip his foot in oil. Asher, Colombia, all the way through parts of Brazil before our people, Judah, began to come into Brazil in boatloads. These were the 3 tribes out of the 12 lost tribes of Israel in South America. From South America, whom the Romans found over here. And their foot was what? Their foot was known to be dipped in oil. The Most High put them on a what? A precious mineral resource that he understood would be the blood of the blood crude of the industries in the future. Asher, his foot dipped in oil. So there's no business that they should have to flee their own beautiful country that have good weather year round to seek asylum. Something is wrong here. The same thing with Levi. The same thing with Levi, who are the Haitians. You know how beautiful Haiti is? Outside of the systematic, impoverished state they've placed them under. The resources there. That's why the Clinton Foundation is there. And all of that, folks. You know how beautiful Haiti is? And they can't even take advantage of it. They have to flee to have some level of quality of life. So we're going to talk about this because we're talking about Ukraine getting all this. We're talking about Israel getting all this. All these other countries. We're talking about packages that are being billions of dollars given to asylum seekers to actually do what? To leverage off against us because they know we're telling the truth. But what I'm not going to allow them to create enemies amongst the 12 tribes of Israel. So we're gonna set the record straight here. Elder lawyer, fair use, and this is from News 5, because Maxine Waters, who I feel that she politically have betrayed her constituency, sent out a guy into Chicago by the name of Representative Jonathan Jackson. Okay, and we all know the overarching power, the administration that's over these two people who look like us, but are serving the interests of this power called America. Right? So I'm going to make sense of some of this because he was sent out, elder lawyer, with a presentation. Okay. Now what they do is try to come out fiery as if they really are concerned about the plights of our people. Right? So all of this was rehearsed. So I felt that I would take some of this presentation, parts of it, and make sense of it through a biblical perspective this evening. All right? And then I'm going to let you know, it's not just Chicago and New York, folks. It's everywhere. These are the two places that are predominantly getting highlighted right now. It's everywhere. It's happening in Philadelphia, all the major cities, California. So this is a strategic move because it happened in Texas and all those areas first, and they had anchor babies in those areas. So now that moved outside of Texas, people think it's not a Texas problem. Yes, they've already did what they wanted to do with the social engineering in those areas. Now it's to spread it throughout the rest of the country. Right? Fair use. A matter of fact, do I have a fair use thing up here? Let me see if I can find it. 1 second here. Text. All right. Okay. Fair use. All right, there it is. I'll put it right here. Fair use for educational purposes only. And of course, this is a religious program. So this is my biblical opinion according to God. Okay. And I'm protected under fair use. Okay. And yeah, we're going to have that guest that's going to come on who has a problem with black people saying that we're the children of Israel. So I hope y'all ready for that broadcast. We're going to have that. That's going to be coming soon. All right. All right. So we're going to have that conversation. All right. So let's go. This is Representative Jonathan Jackson given an explanation to the citizens of Chicago concerning why they're being assailed on by all these other people who are receiving billions of dollars, to whom obviously we have understood are here to replace the tribe of Judah. Fair use.
I'll just go through this very
Hold on. I'm going to pull it up here. Pull it up here. Because I want you to hear it too, Elder Lawyer. All right? All right, let's go.
I'll just go through this very
Hold on.
I'll just go through this very quickly. The challenges that we're... Hold on. Easy. So here we go.
He's talking about the challenges. Look, now watch they start talking to us like we are a bunch of children here. All right? Disrespecting us. And I wonder, so many people have benefited from our civil rights movement, be it white women as minorities. You have white women that's as minorities now. Of course, you have Jews who are minorities. You have Asians who claim to be minorities. You have East Indians who claim to be minorities, Elder Lawyer. Right? You have gays who claim to be minorities. Why aren't any of them coming out to sound against these political agendas against us? Why you don't hear none of them who don't have the voting block that our people have in America? Why don't you hear them coming out defending our survival, our self-preservation through this migrant, this so-called asylum seeking migrant policy? I'm just curious. We stomp for everyone else that's out there in their cause. And our people are screaming out, we didn't make it through the so-called pandemic. A lot of it did exactly what they told us to do. And it seemed like we've suffered exponentially above everyone else after the so-called pandemic. And you would think that they would be here to help our people in such a crisis time as we live in today. I don't hear nobody speaking for us as a minority. Do y'all notice that? And that's a cautionary tale, folks. You got to stop stomping for everyone else when we're between the crosshairs and suffering, everyone is what? Silent. So that's why I'm going to put it here together for you all. This is my religious belief here. That they're doing this because they know we're the children of Israel at the end of desolation and are politically seeking to actually, folks, snuff us out politically. Do it in a way in which it isn't frontal. You know Esau is the cunning hunter, right? He would very well allow you to fall into your own snare. So they rode him out, right? His name is so-called Representative Jonathan Jackson. Let's see who he represents, Elder Lawyer. Who do you represent?
I'll just go through this very quickly.
Hit the like button, please.
The challenges that we're... Hold on. Easy. So here we go. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor. It's going to work out. What's happening in Chicago right now in the migrant crisis? We're looking at warehouses being used, police stations, schools, libraries, all of these different places. I want to give you a bit of a background on how do we get to this point and where the federal government is and what's happening in Chicago. So this will be a deep dive. I'm not a flyby, and I can sit here and talk with you all night long. So This is what you got me here for, so I'm available. I'm not running. Okay. Where are the migrants coming from in this wave? The migrants in large part are coming from Venezuela. What's happened in Venezuela? The United States, after the President Hugo Chavez came to power almost 15 years ago, he has since has died. He was a socialist and was doing a lot of economic reforms. There was a backlash against his government by the United States. So we started doing an embargo, blocking his oil sales. Then from there, we started
blocking his oil sales. So don't forget, the Most High blessed Asher with his foot dipping in oil so that that can benefit their people. See? Just like the Arabs, Ishmael, the oil resources they're sitting on and living on benefits their people. So now there was an embargo, true. So isn't this, Elder Lawyer, an international issue? Right?
Right.
If this is an international crisis, that for whatever political reason, because the people shouldn't have to suffer because the Western world powers had an issue with Chavez. Why didn't you care about the Venezuelans then, before a change of regime? Why didn't you just make sure that they can benefit from their own oil resources? So how can you make us believe you care about the Venezuelans now? Just putting that out there, just a question. Let's go. So how did it become an American's taxpayers issue? Right? Fair use.
the sanctions under the Trump administration. So
Elder Lawyer, so it's Trump's fault. See? You see how they passed the ball? See? I told you. Here they go. They got their talking heads. They got their patsies coming out to now play hot potato. Now they're going to play hot potato now and think that our people are going to go for the same garbage, the political garbage we usually go for.
Right.
Okay, so the think tanks get together with Maxine Waters and others, Elder Lawyer, and say, okay, we have an election coming in. The black people aren't supporting Biden because we realized that he was behind the, we were skeptical into thinking he could do anything for us in the beginning with his name attached to the crime bill. But because they was able to use the fear of Trump, he's not Trump, is how he was able to get elected. So let's just say that everything they're experiencing now, how can we put this on Trump? So we put it on Trump. Not only could we give them an explanation that doesn't benefit them anyway, because it's really saying we can't do nothing about these people politically barring you out. Too bad. But it's also passing the buck to Trump with an election coming up in 2024. Right? So here they are campaigning on this issue while our people are suffering in Chicago, right? Campaigning. So, they're spinning this, folks. This is what you call a spin.
Happened in the last 15 years in Venezuela is they've had the equivalent of 3 Great Depressions. So this is one of the wealthiest countries on earth.
So whose problem is that? Right? So if they had 3 depressions, what you supposed to do? This is what you're supposed to do. Get the international body together, right? All your philanthropists and all that. The United Nations, not just the United Nations, the world bodies, to set an international funding to sustain the Venezuelans where they live. It's an international crisis. How are you going to use them to leverage these people who you made poor and leverage them off of a people who are suffering in America even worse than they were before the 3 depressions? So how is this an American problem? Don't they have enough money throughout the international body from Europe, overseas and others, and the Middle East and all the international monies? Can't they come together and just make sure that Venezuela is straight? right? You got the United Nations, you got all the United Nations together. Can't they come together and take a little bit out of their coffers to make sure these people can eat where they live?
Earth, if they could sell their oil, but they've had the equivalent of 3 Great Depressions. So now over 7 million people have had to leave their country.
Had to leave their country. So what did he just say? These people were sabotaged and their oil resources have been taken from them where they cannot benefit on their own land, which has great weather and everything. A political sabotage so that now they cannot benefit from their oil. So who's benefiting from the oil that Chavez in Venezuela, Asher, was sitting on, sir? Or this is not part of your talking points?
Any of the people that you're seeing in these shelters.
And then once they leave, guess who's going to go over in their place to take all these good areas that they're leaving to regenify and turn into paradises? You'll never guess who's going to go in and replace the people and regenify that area and turn it into paradise where it won't be an affordable place to live for the Venezuelans in the future. You will never guess. Man, these guys are geniuses how they do this. Venezuela has beautiful weather year round. You'll never guess who's going to go over Venezuela where all these people are vacating, just like people went into Maui and all that, the rich. You'll never guess who's over there regenifying and turning that paradise into pricing the Venezuelans out of their own home. You'll never guess who's doing it. But that's for another broadcast.
Police stations over had a house, had an apartment, had a place to stay. But because we've taken them out of the foreign exchange process, the United States government, you cannot use a U.S. credit card in Venezuela. They cannot sell their oil.
Well, why don't Biden and them just pass a law to allow them to use a U.S. credit card in Venezuela? All right. I mean, you know, I'm not politically savvy like that. I would never think to run for office with these crooks and criminals operating the world, these countries. But all in all, I just came up with a solution. You think he didn't know that? Why don't you allow them to use a credit card from America in Venezuela instead of allowing these people to come over into these tough terrains, threatening their lives to get into another country?
Oil to the United States. They have suffered 3 Great Depressions. And because we're the only country in the region and in the world that has a problem with Venezuela, they want to leave. And in turn, the bordering countries end up welcoming them and transporting them to the next city, all the way to the Mexican border. So from Caracas, Venezuela to Chicago, Illinois is 2,499 miles. You can walk to Caracas, Venezuela. You can drive to Caracas, Venezuela. You can bicycle.
Okay, this is him just you know, this is just jargon at this point. All right, let's get to it, man.
We have on eggs and milk. They started having 75 and 100 and 200% inflation. So,
inflation like we've had since this administration, where now the poor in our community can't afford eggs, milk, and all these others. Oh, you mean to tell me they're doing in our inner cities to us what they did to Venezuelans? So that's what we're experiencing right now under the Biden administration?
People could no longer eat there, and now the imports resume, eventually increasing to 153,000 barrels of crude oil a day. They had been totally shut down. President Biden, 3 weeks ago, lifted some of the sanctions so they could start selling oil.
Okay, so why are they coming over then? So you mean to tell me, listen, I'm willing to put something on the fact that probably America can now benefit from that oil after Chavez's death. So if they can sell oil, what's the issue here? Why are they sleeping in federal buildings and the police stations and all that right now, if now you can sell oil? Why don't you give the money that belongs to Asher through their mineral resources and oil, why don't you give it to the so-called asylum seekers in their country while they're in their country? See, these guys can't even bring a correct explanation that'll hold. Okay, so Biden made it where they can sell oil now. Okay, well, give the money to those people and have them live in their countries. If you ask them, they would sure rather have their money there in that beautiful country than what? To be sleeping on a cold sidewalk in Chicago. Okay, where the weather during the winter is seriously intolerable.
So fewer people would be leaving. Why do we have to deal with this? Because there are over 400,000 people from Colombia and up the Pan American Highway that are trying to get here. So this is only the beginning of the wave.
You heard that, folks? He's letting them know. I know I'm here to explain it to you like as if I'm on your side, but I'm here to betray you. This is just the beginning. You think this is something. See, what he don't know that once they're done with him, he get thrown in the pool with everyone else that they're seeking to destroy. That's what he don't understand. He think he's safe. See? So because they can't roll out their normal politicians, they rolling out this guy, right?
We're going to talk about it a little bit more. In Venezuela, highly dependent on fossil fuel, the sanctions have contributed to their economic hardship, and their inflation rate has been hovering at around 300%.
Fair use.
That is why people have had to leave the country.
And by the way, the Venezuelans are from the tribe of Asher, the lost tribes of Israel.
To come here. The impact on the city of Chicago and our region specifically has created more social unrest. There's been a disruption of public services. I, like many of you, have gone into a police station, and it is simply awful that this reduces the amount of time from which the police can leave and get to our houses when we're experiencing crime.
And I can't but help, Elder Lawyer, some of those S's on the end of most words that doesn't end with an S.
Yeah.
I don't know if you this
it's a little suspect.
Yeah, there's a lot of S's going on at the end of words that aren't plural. So we need to look into his persuasion a little later, but I'm hearing a lot of S's in words that doesn't end with it, right?
Right.
This is why we all have to deal with
this. You gotta put your gut in it to make an S like that. Let's go back at it. This is yeah. I grew up around brothers like this, and that S is a telltale sign.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Time from which the police can leave and get to our houses when we're experiencing crime. This is why we all have to deal with this here. The last part is the uncertainty of the next steps. I was with Mayor Johnson this past week in Washington, D.C. He asked the president,
I wonder what y'all was doing.
President's chief of staff for $5 billion in additional funding so that we can offset this, not just for Chicago, but the 6 urban markets.
See, you know what? I'm going to have to get to the audience because now that I've mentioned these S's, it seems like I can't even focus on anything else. Let's get it out. Hurry up, brother, so I can get to the people.
Governor Greg Abbott is sending migrant populations to. I want to tell you about that. So Governor Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, created a program. Oh, and you don't have to worry about taking pictures of the slide. This fancy staff I have, they've got a QR code. These slides are going to be available. You're going to be able to go online and get your pictures. So we're going to go high tech. So there is a QR code that you'll be able to download your photos that you took in the lobby.
Yeah, we're going to be able to give you these proper propaganda charts to explain why the Biden administration is seeking to run right over you and destroy your communities, okay? All right.
As well as any of the presentation material I want you to have. So Governor Greg Abbott, what did he do specifically? Governor Abbott created in April of 2022. Mayor Lori Lightfoot was on front of this. And
now you know what Lightfoot is about. You know what Lightfoot. And ain't nothing light about her foot. She got heavy feet. You know where she's stomping at. There's no men in sight there. And you got to check out the dynamics of the people they have representing us. Right?
On top of it, she started trying to combat the wave that what Mr. Abbott was doing. He created Operation Lone Star. And the purpose of that...
Don't try to put it on the Texans because they was tired of it happening where they were. And it was systematic to throw the hot potato around so that eventually the same plan for Texas and California and Arizona would spread throughout the rest of the United States. Let's not play games. The Democrats and Republicans are behind this. All right. Now, let's hear how the people, Elder Lawyer, is responding. Right. Okay. Let's go straight to the people because he want to talk about homelessness of people that American policy as well as international policy. He want to talk about the homelessness of the people they made homeless. So I don't want to waste time with this, right? Let's get down to the numbers now. Right? So now check out how his pandering begins as if he care about our people. Look at this. Check it out. Here we go. We're going to get in the meat of it.
And our home values on average are 2/3.
So now he's telling us what we know already. Housing disparities. Black individuals in Chicago have 2 times the foreclosure rates as whites. Why? Could it be that a lot of our jobs, like contractors and others, are now being given to black and brown people outside of the black people who built the country? Because they're willing to do it for cheaper labor? Could that be it? That black men in particular are being barred out of the employment sector of the world, and if there's any other job, you'd rather give it to our sisters than have a brother get it? Right? The only men they're giving anything are men who identify with the intersexuality thing. So I'm sure he doesn't have this problem as a black individual who has his house foreclosed on twice the rate as white people. Black homes in Chicago have appreciated of 2/3 of the city average. Black communities in Chicago have the largest population losses, right? So now he's pandering. But brothers and sisters, just so I can get to the audience now, what isn't he saying right here? Folks, politically, and he know, and they're on board with this. This is the answer to the high crime rate in Chicago. To phase our people out of existence. But they're not telling you that's the overarching plan to stop crime. He can't outright say that we gave the community an opportunity time and time again not to deal with black on black crime, even though it was systematic, because how can our brothers who can't afford anything get access to what they would call high expensive assault weapons when they can't even afford to get out of their own homes. They can't even afford to leave their homes. So how are they getting access to all these weapons? So now here's the pandering. Unless someone or something or some organizations are giving them access to the weapons. Right? So what they're not saying, folks, this is the answer to the black crime. This is the answer. I'm going to show you the answer. One moment. And they think our people are stupid. I'm so proud of some of the brothers and sisters who were here, who spoke up in this meeting, because they thought they was going to say this, and this presentation was going to satisfy the people like it would normally do under an election cycle or something, and people would go home and just bear it. That's what they thought. But something is different is going on with our people now.
real close to 3/5 of a human, huh? It's 2/3 the value of the citywide average. This is a problem.
It is a problem. It's a created problem. You notice he's not coming with any solution. He's just telling us what's evident, right? He's just speaking what's evident, right? So let's get to our people, because our people are going to cut through this garbage. This brother right here, Elder Lawyer, I had to grab this. And this is why they don't want brothers in high political positions. This is where they got compromised brothers who aren't like the strong men of old in representative positions. People who would just go on with the program. Check this out, Elder Lawyer.
Because they closed the elementary schools.
Let me start. NPR reported from August of last year to December of this year, they will spend $252 million on the migrants. $252 million. 17,000 migrants come into this city, and just in Chicago. If we just break that in half and they become families, you got 8,500 families. Hispanics have 3.5 children. I'm submitting to you, in one generation, just one generation, the black vote will be null. They will have an additional 24,000 people on the voting rolls, along with the Hispanic population already here. They're playing chess, and you all are playing checkers. You are damning our youth, our next generation, to poverty by you all doing these political speeches. One generation, our youth, our vote will be null in all of these 6 sanctuary cities. And what are you going to do about that?
Y'all heard that? See, I wanted to play it all the way out, Elder Lawyer, right? And I'm going to break it down now, so that these numbers don't go over anyone's head. Right? Listen to this, folks. Why are they willing to pay all of this taxpayer money towards this particular political initiative? They're telling us because they care about the poor Venezuelans. But these Venezuelans would be happy if this amount of money was just sent to them in Venezuela. Do you know how much money we're giving each individual family that's coming over the border? You know how much the dollar is worth in Venezuela and what they can do with that money? If you were to just give that money to them there, but guess what? It doesn't fit their political interest to give them the money over there. Why? Because their interest is to leverage them against us. That's what makes the money worth it for them. So I'm going to break it down one at a time, because a lot of our people aren't politically savvy. But if they cared about the people, they would give them the same amount of money they're giving them, the Ukrainians. And y'all giving the money to Ukraine for the Ukrainians who are living in Ukraine right now? And the American dollar is worth a good amount in Ukraine right now. So why couldn't you just give that money to them over there, with the dollar being worth so much in their country opposed to it being worth nothing here in America, really? Because it wouldn't be worth it for them, folks, because their targets are us. So I'm letting y'all understand how political weaponry happens. That's why he says they're playing chess, you're playing checkers. Because I'm going to tell you, folks, this guy right here don't believe what he's saying. Guess what? He know why the Venezuelans is coming over. And this is why I'm going to go into the betrayal piece that Christ talked about in a moment. He thought this explanation, if he can give us the evident history that we all knew about, would suffice our people, because they believe our people are dumb. Let's break it down.
Elementary schools.
Let me start. NPR reported from August of last year to December of this year, they will spend $252 million.
$252 million. Now, what can those same families do with $252 million in Venezuela? See, but it isn't worth it to them in Venezuela. Why? I'm talking about to the political structure. Because they rather the Venezuelans leave their country and get on a sinking ship. And they can leverage them off against their enemy, the tribe of Judah, who's speaking out against the powers that be in the world today. And on top of that, they can now get access to that oil the Venezuelans are gladly walking off of, that beautiful land, and get access to those resources and regenify the whole area, which is worth trillions, billions, if not trillions of dollars once they're finished with it. So that's why it's an investment. That $252 million could be worth it to those people if they stay there, but it wouldn't be worth it to who? The international body who's seeking to destroy us and them.
On the migrants. $252 million.
Hit the like button.
17.
Hold up. Hit the like button for me, folks. Hit the like button. We are about, let's see. We are about, y'all doing a great job, but y'all doing great. Y'all doing great, but we are about 1,000 likes down. If you haven't hit the like, hit it for me real quick. Fair use.
17,000 migrants come into this city, and just in Chicago. If we just break that in half and they become families, you got 8,500 families. Hispanics have 3.5 children. I'm submitting to you, in one generation, just one generation, the black vote will be null.
And this is the point, folks. We're actually asking for what every other group asks for. We're asking for interest specifically for us, and they can't have that. See, when an Asian gets in position, their constituency are agents. So they pass policy that will affect their own people positively. When Asians get in office, they're not looking to pass legislation that would actually be in our interest. So the other people aren't a part of no black and brown coalition. That's the garbage they sell you. When an East Indian get in position, they're passing policy that would actually positively impact their people. For the first time in American history, our people are asking for something specifically for us, and they can't do it, folks. They can't do it. For the first time. So because we're asking for something, they're saying, well, okay, let's replace them. Let's shut the world down. Let's do a reset. All of a sudden, the whole earth gets sick. And when we open it up, we'll finish what that couldn't finish. Okay? And think about it. The same people that are behind the asylum seekers and what they call the migration crisis, who were behind it, they were behind pushing the cough in 2020 and 21. Same people. Right? Fair use. Fair use.
They will have an additional 24,000 people on the voting rolls, along with the Hispanic population.
And that's why your schools are shut down. That's why your schools are shut down, because they don't have no intentions to open those schools up for our people anymore. It's over. Because they don't see us in the foreseeable future as a majority voting bloc like we are now in these inner cities. So there's no need for them to do anything for us. See?
Already here. They're playing chess, and you all are playing checkers.
And that's what the brother is wrong right there. He's playing chess right along with the administrations who have sent them out here. The guy he just came there for word salad. Okay? To calm the mob. That's all he's there for, to calm the mob.
You are damning our youth, our next generation, to poverty by you all doing these political speeches. One generation, our youth, our vote will be null in all of these 6 sanctuary cities. And what are you going to do about that?
Let's see his answer to that, folks. Now, this guy he had specific issues our people in Chicago, and not just in Chicago, around the United States, is concerned about. Let's see, does he answer directly to these brothers, this brother's poignant items of concern. Let's see.
Thank you very much. The first thing we have to do is to make sure that those that are coming here unlawfully stop. I don't have anything to do with persons' reproduction levels. If people want to have more children, you certainly can. Second part is, 2/3 of our hemisphere, speak Spanish. They're not Americans in general. So there's a natural balance of people that are non-English speaking in our own hemisphere that can walk up here all the time. The third part that we have to be very much concerned about is we can't lose our land and be moved off of it because of government policy. I am focused on the housing issues because the housing and the jobs is what keeps us as residents of this district and in the residents of the Illinois. The first stat I threw out to you was 200,000 people, African Americans, have moved off our land in the first 2 decades. That's a federal issue. That's why I work with Congresswoman Maxine Waters. That's why we've introduced with the Congress.
Okay, is that why you all came together and say, let's give these people reparations? So obviously they've identified the issue, and just like they identified the issues of Ukrainians, Israel, and every other place, they put $1 behind it. So are you saying, after identifying these issues, that you're ready to give reparations to the people, Judah, the descendants of slaves, the foundational Black Americans who are from the tribe of Judah, like you've done these other groups? Is that what you're saying?
National Black Caucus to have additional funding to make sure we have housing. I can't hear you, sir. What'd he say? He can't hear what?
Give him the mic.
I'm sorry, he didn't hear me or what? Oh. I'm sorry, I can't hear you, sir.
Get a brother the microphone.
Sir, if you can come back to the mic, because what we will do, Congressman, is we will have
Let's let him finish his question, then we'll get back.
You have not addressed the issue.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Wait a minute. You danced all around it.
Okay.
You did not give any specific solutions on what you want to do. Anybody can stop having children.
No, thank you.
Let me finish, my brother.
Let me ask you. Can you help me with the solution you'd like to see me do?
Surely, I can help you with the solution. I can give you I give you one simple answer. Send them back. That's the only solution. That's it.
Now listen, that was simple, wasn't it? Now, y'all need to check out this guy right here, folks, because you're looking at the person who's running around with the microphone. These are the people who are really running the show, right? This is the type of guy who will tell the brother on the stage, when the mics are off and when the camera's off, you go and sit down somewhere. This guy right here. This guy right here is the real man, right?
Other than that, they will start.
That guy walking around the audience will tell everyone up on this stage, y'all, time out, okay? Go look in a corner and you stay there for 10 minutes, and you better stay there for 10 minutes, okay? All these people up here, they talk down on us, but that guy in the audience, he'll tell them, time out, go look in the corner for 10 minutes, and you better not move your feet. Okay?
You, sir.
Sir, if you can come back to the mic, is what we will do, Congressman, is we will have
Let's let him finish his question, then we'll get back.
You have not addressed the issue.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Wait a minute. You danced all around it.
Okay.
You did not give any specific solutions on what you want to do. Anybody can stop
Okay,
having children.
no, thank you.
Let me finish, my brother.
Let me ask you. Can you help me with the solution you'd like to see me do?
Surely, I can help you with the solution. I can give you I give you one simple answer. Send them back. That's the only solution. That's it. Other than that, they will surpass us. It is math. It's simple math. They will overtake us in numbers at the rate that they have kids. They cannot be U.S. citizens.
Fair use.
You are dooming our next generation to subservitude.
Oh, you heard him, Elder Lawyer? You're dooming our next generation to subservitude. That would make us perpetual slaves. Perpetual slaves, Elder Lawyer, without any recovery in sight, because we would lose our power as a voting bloc. So you think we aren't getting anything now? If we can't affect future elections, they're really not going to do anything for us. And that's why the last election was the one they needed. They just let us just get in this one time. Because don't forget, the Democrat Party is the party of the KKK. In case y'all didn't know that, folks, it was the Democrats hanging us, whistling Dixie down in the South. Did y'all know that? They just needed 4 more years. I mean, that's all they needed. It was the Democrats. Even Lyndon Baines Johnson said, these stupid Negroes, I'm going to have them voting Democrat for the next 50 to 100 years. Laughing when the mics went out. Not realizing the Democrats were always the enemies of Judah in America. They were hanging us from trees. So what better way to do it than to take off the sheets and pass policy where we would be, out of all the people, even though we are the minority of all the people of the white compared to the white man, that they would have 20 million of our children be deleted before birth as a legislation. You think the KKK and Sheets could have did it any better than that? Than to pass legislation? Or think about it. Why hang people from trees? When we can pass legislation and make it a right where they can actually get rid of their own children. That would be a cold-blooded KKK move, wouldn't it? I need y'all to think about that, folks. That's a KKK move. Let's pass legislation and feminism and everything else and make it where they can't stand each other. The KKK would have done that. And a lot of people don't even know history. Do y'all know it was the Democrats who were hanging us down south? No wonder they came up with the 94 crime bill. Think about that. And then I'm going to show you, Elder Lawyer, I'm going to tell you how they make fun of us and laugh behind closed doors when the camera's off. Elder Lawyer, not to say that we're down with Trump, right? But what was their political move to get our people to vote for Trump by claiming he was what?
He was racist.
This is how you know they're laughing at us. We're going to make them believe that that side is racist when they are a part of the racist party that are destroying the future of their children. And think about it. If we would have had 20 million more children, then no way the asylum seekers could have came in, or we would have been the majority in the United States and we would have had our children instead of getting rid of 20 million of them. And they'll make you believe that the racist is on the other side when we're become what? We're become intertwined in the party of the racists who've killed us and destroyed us.
telling you this.
Okay.
It's just simple math.
I know, but
That's it. It's simple math.
I'm very good at math. Let me share something with you. Most of the persons that are trying.
Let me hear him all the way through, other lawyer, because I'm sure they want to hear him all the way through. This guy right here doesn't represent anything for our people, okay? And Christ warned us about guys like this, and the woman sitting next to him, okay?
Sir, if you can come back to the mic, because what we will do, Congressman, is we will have
Let's let him finish his question, then we'll get back to it.
You have not addressed the issue.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Wait a minute. You danced all around it.
Okay.
You did not give any specific solutions on what you want to do. Anybody can stop having children.
No, thank you.
Let me finish, my brother.
Let me ask you. Can you help me with the solution you'd like to see me do?
Surely, I can help you with the solution. I can give you I give you one simple answer. Send them back. That's the only solution. That's it. Other than that, they will surpass us. It is math. It's simple math. They will overtake us in numbers at the rate that they have kids. They cannot be U.S. citizens. You are dooming our next generation to subservitude. I'm telling you this.
Okay.
It's just simple math.
I know, but
That's it. It's simple math.
I'm very good at math. Let me share something with you. Most of the persons that are here right now, under the technical definition, do not qualify for asylum.
I'm not concerned about that. I'm concerned about the children that they have. They will be U.S. citizens, and they will have a voting block. All we have to do now is look at the Hispanic voting block they have now. They get everything they want. Look at our communities. You should see the schools that they have as compared to the schools that our children attend. It is simple math. Count. That's all you have to do.
Okay, thank you.
One generation.
Thank you, sir.
And I'm glad the brother worked that out, folks, and laid it out like that. Because you know what we're under, folks? We're under a political genocide. He said you should see the schools that their people are in. So it's not even about the people coming over. According to the scriptures, Asher has children, and they know it. And the children will lock them in. That's why they don't care whether or not these people are sleeping on the street initially. They just need them to have babies because that justifies them under the social programs within the United States now. They've had an American citizen. So the social programs that was once for our people will now be transferred to that family. Are you following me? They don't care if the people are sleeping on sidewalks and stuff right now. Under the cover of night in those tents, guess what? Those people are getting busy. I wouldn't be surprised if this guy standing right here, I wouldn't be surprised if this guy right here isn't personally going to the tents. Personally going to the tents with R. Kelly's song and making sure it's played throughout all the tents, Your Body's Calling Me. Okay? They want these children. Okay? Let's go.
At a refugee job fair, and it was put on by I believe it was Rogers Parks Chambers of Commerce. No Haitians, no Africans were invited. I called both places that I'm working with, African House, Haitian Museum. They knew nothing about it, okay? Another case.
They're not allowing in number African and or Haitian migrants like they were before. So their choice in who they claim are suffering and need assistance. Our people are suffering in Haiti and Africa. Why didn't you put the money there? You always talk about we got malaria, Ebola, and all that other stuff y'all be claiming. And guess what? When we don't see no sign of it there at all, when we're in Africa. But since you claim that this is the issues, why didn't you send the money to Africa instead of trying to always send something to solve some of these so-called sicknesses?
They are going to, according to the University of Chicago. I attended a luncheon last week, and they had a representative there, a doctor, I can't pronounce her name. She's in mental health. Well, they are training Spanish-speaking, non-professional people to come in and help the Venezuelan Spanish-speaking people with trauma.
Well, the whole thing, ma'am, maybe you can, somebody make sure she find the channel A Gathering 144. Ma'am, I'm going to answer that for you. Biden says they have a population issue as far as Caucasians in America. And they want to make sure that the people come over, they can find some people who look like them so that they can have babies who look like them. Haitians and Africans don't fit the bill. Okay? All right? So that's that. They need some people who they can, when they look at their children, they can see their grandparents in their children. They can't do that with Haitians. Okay? They can't do that with Africans. All right? So I answered that for you.
As if the African and Haitian people are not experiencing trauma. So I emailed her and told her that we would be very happy to be a part of that program to send our people there. I have not heard from her yet.
And you're not going to hear from her, okay? And you won't hear from her. She says, listen, I know some people that look like me that need some money. And guess what, folks? This is Maxine Waters and others, people who look like us. You would expect her to call back her own constituency and say, yeah, there's something else going on with that. We do got some money for Haitians and those of the diaspora in Africa. She said, what? She was waiting next to the phone. She was waiting. Let's see what happened.
So I emailed her and told her that we would be very happy to be a part of that program to send our people there. I have not heard from her yet. So bottom line, without me going through some other stuff that you all don't even want to hear, yeah,
they want to hear it. They just want to hear it so that you can let off steam as they seek to destroy you and your family, once you leave out there. All right? Now, right here, this woman holding the microphone right here, she's another one who would tell the people on the stage, you go sit down somewhere. Okay? We just using you to talk to your people. Once the mic off, she's going to let them know. Go sit down. All right?
We want to be fair so other people can ask the questions.
No, I want to be fair.
Okay.
But maybe I can talk to you on the personal side. There
Absolutely.
needs to be more open lines of communication into the Haitian Museum of Chicago and to the African organization. It should be open up. If you're helping migrants, immigrants, or whatever.
Hey, by the time, let me tell you, Umar Johnson will open a Pan-African school before she get a phone call back, okay? The whole African con game is done. It's over. They're not supporting us, our people no more. We know now. We know that we're the children of Israel, and it's over. They were supporting the Pan-African thing when we thought we were Africans, see? You had Jewish people, you had white people who was willing to find some old bones and throw some dirt on it so that we can believe that we belong in Africa. While they were seeking Palestine and Israel. Okay? So the African game don't work anymore because we know we're Israelites. All right? So I thought I would drop that dime on you. That sis, you're going to get a phone call when Umar Johnson opened up a school. All right? Let's go.
Don't ignore the African and the Haitians. That's happening now, okay? And Brother Kupla Torre left this proposal for me to give to you and a book written about the black heroes of the fire department. And so I'm supposed to give them to you at some point, and I will. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I did have a conversation with the city manager for immigrants, and I specifically brought up who was speaking Creole that could talk with the Haitian immigrants, and they had no one on staff.
You notice, Elder Lawyer, that, and this is why I don't like when they put people in between. I believe situations like this, I love sisters and all that, but I believe brothers need to be in the forefront of this so that we can get the emotions off the table.
Yeah.
Right? That's number one. Number two, all due respect, she pointed out some good things, but now this guy can go into his pandering about what he's going to do for Haitians when he never answered directly the brother who spoke before this woman, when he said, send them back. Now,
Right.
he didn't say, Elder Lawyer, send them back without support. Notice that. Mm-hmm. So it's not as if he's against these people. Take that $220 million and let them know if we can fly them back and they can have that $220 million there where they can invest in their own properties and all that. And you know how much money that is in Venezuela? $220 million for those families.
Mm-hmm.
They would break their neck getting on buses or planes to get back home to spend $220 million American. So he didn't say send them back without help. Take the $220 million and let them go back home with it.
Right.
But do you notice the brother didn't answer him at all? Because that doesn't fit Satan's political agenda to destroy Judah in America.
Yeah,
And I think, just a
speaking-
quick point, I think there should be a,
Hold on, let me put you on. Go ahead.
yeah, I think there should be a common understanding when these types of meetings take place, even though other people may have other concerns and other points they want to bring. When someone brings valid points that need to be answered, it should be a common thing to say, well, we're not going to further scatter or further confuse this argument or bring other issues on the table that, again, may be valid. We're not going to present those things until you bring a valid answer to the first person who brought valid points to the table that seriously need to be answered.
And that's a good point. Because you notice, imagine if they would have been able to do this during the time of the civil rights movement with Martin Luther King. Right? Where Martin Luther King would speak for the whole to say exactly what's needed. And then they would go to another person out of nowhere who's talking about her gout.
Right. Right.
Right? Who who just talking about, I got sore knees. Nah. Everyone knew it was what? It was a unified front with one representation so that the message doesn't get distorted or deflected or misdirected.
Right.
So once she heard the brother say that, she should have said, well, listen, I got a point, but can y'all answer his question to why you all cannot send these people back?
Mm-hmm.
Take the money that y'all have because you already got the money, but you know what? They cannot send them back because all of these so-called organizations, this is where the money is siphoned through for the programs, be it the nurses and all these others. People are making hands over fists with this particular policy of asylum seekers.
Right. If you don't mind, I got just two quick scriptures on that point.
All right, let's do it.
Yes, sir. Ecclesiastes in the Bible, 5:1.
Okay, 1 second. Ecclesiastes 5:1. Yes, lawyer.
Yes, sir. And obviously, this is not a house of God that they're speaking in, but this principle can still be applied. It says here, keep thy foot when thou goest to the house of God, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil.
That's a good point. Now, before I get the next scripture, keep thy foot, which means there should have been a unified meeting with our people before this particular thing to say, here's the points on the table that we will not divert from.
Mm-hmm.
Here's who's going to represent us. And we're going to have it. He's going to have bullet points. I'd have had that brother with all the bullet points and concerns as far as I would say concerns of importance under a bullet point profile to let everyone know, okay, let me get your concerns. Let me get that. Let me get that. Let me get all the concerns together and put it according to priority on bullet points and say, listen, all of these are going to be addressed in this order. Are we all together? And so if they ask any questions, everyone united would have said, we've spoken together and this brother is going to convey all of our concerns. They would immediately shut that thing down. But keep thy foot when thou goest to the house of God, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil, because these people mean well. And Elder Lawyer, I'm going to show you the straight disrespect for our men. You notice he ignored the poignant, logical question with solution, because he asked, well, what is your solution? And it was given. You notice he ignored that and immediately went to a different topic altogether or concern so that he could ignore that. You notice that?
Exactly.
What's the next scripture, Elder Lawyer?
The next one is in the Apocrypha, Sirach 32 and 7. I'm going to take this down to verse 9.
Sirach 32. Hold on. He said 7, right? Great. Hit the like button for us, folks. Let's read it.
Sirach 32 and 7. Speak, young man, if there be need of thee, and yet scarcely when thou art twice asked. Let thy speech be short, comprehending much in few words. Be as one that knoweth, and yet holdeth his tongue.
So just because you know it doesn't mean you have to say it all the time. So once that brother began to spill, I'm like, listen, I'm not as gifted as this man is to deliver our concerns. I need to get behind this man's concerns. And by default, once that solution is had, it rectifies my concerns. So why should I say anything unless I just want to be heard too?
Right.
So they'll use this wanting to be heard or the need to be heard, folks. They'll use that just so that people can blow off steam, but still there'll be no solution behind it. So that means at one point we have to become more cogent on how we deliver our political interests if you're going to utilize the political system. If you're not unified, because I'm going to tell you, when gay people go out for whatever they're talking about, there's one voice when they're together. They don't need too many people speaking. Y'all notice that? When Asians go out, there's one person speaking with a unified front because they've already discussed what they wanted as far as policy goes. And that's a mistake we make that we lost. It seemed like the other nation's lawyer picked up the keys of how Martin Luther King did it. But then we lost the understanding of how he was able to do it, and we're the originators. It's the other people coming in with a unified voice, like Martin Luther King, to not misdirect the conversation. This is how you get the solution. Great point. More on that, Elder Lawyer?
One more verse, verse 9.
Read.
If thou be among great men.
If you be amongst men who's bringing it, read.
Make not thyself equal with them.
Read.
And when ancient men are in place, use not many words.
So you got a man who did the research with the numbers. At that point, the whole place was to be shut down until this man, that bald brother, everything was supposed to be shut down until he got the answer for us all. That's how it should have went down. See? But we're politically scattered all over the place. And see, Elder Lawyer, and they did this intentionally, this multiculturalism thing, so that we wouldn't be unified in instances like this when our people are actually exhibiting a political or actually experiencing, a political genocide. That's exactly what it is. So what did they do? If you flood the zone with our brothers all over the place with different political agendas and don't let us know where it won, then Haitians are only going to speak for Haitians. Africans are only going to speak for Africans. Mexicans are only speak for Mexicans. See what I'm saying? And now, what? All these different interests drown out the reason that they're actually there. Right? They're just filling up space without being unified and saying, well, listen, all of our interests can be made right now or can be resolved if we get behind this one brother point right here. Because if they go back, it's all good, right?
Exactly.
Anything else, other lawyer? Great points.
No, sir.
Okay, let's speed this up. Let's go back because we're going to show you how the streets are talking about handling this.
Creole. This is a concern. This is a concern that I do have. And let's follow up. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get to everyone. I ask that if you could make it.
On the light-skinned Spanish-speaking immigrants, and they're not focused on the black immigrants.
And you know what? I listened to this sister. Don't forget, I had the whole video earlier. I had it playing, and I made sure I downloaded it. Right, elder lawyer? I love the fact that this sister speaking, and this is why I love the fact that there is some high-level intellects amongst our people, intellectuals.
Mm-hmm.
I just like the way she was able to deliver this calmly, intellectually, as a well-spoken representative of our people. Right? Because sometimes what they notice, elder lawyer, they shifted from the men and went to the women so that they can get more so an emotional, I would say, response when it comes to concerns. They wanted emotional concerns so that they can say, I feel what you're saying. Because they understand women are more about how they feel, and that's right. That's natural for them. So you notice they went from solution to, let me speak to the women who I can now deflect by telling her, I hear what she's saying. I care. I hear you. The stuff that used to work years ago. But this sister right here, she ain't dealing with none of that. Listen to this. Well-spoken sister. She's from Levi too. The Haitians are from the tribe of Levi, by the way. They're Israelites also.
Week, we had 30 families. We needed to translate in Creole, how to apply for asylum, how to get phones, how to get tablets.
Very articulate.
We don't have any support from the city. We don't have any support from the federal government. These are just volunteers that I was able to recruit in order to get to do this work. We had the general manager of the Hyatt that was willing to give us space. We had it's called the Dirty Laundry. It's a black-owned business in Hyde Park that was willing to give those immigrants an opportunity to clean their clothes. So when people are very upset and they're speaking, I want you to be cognizant of the fact that it's not just these light-skinned Spanish, which are black descendants, but light-skinned Spanish people. There are immigrants like my parents who come from Haiti, okay? I'm first generation. There's a lot of us here in Illinois. There's a lot of us that have been supporting the Jackson family for years, and we already know that your father supports us. But I want you to remember us because we do need you to take that title to transfer the interference that the United States government has had in the country of Haiti so that we can stay home. Don't nobody want to be in no 30-degree weather when we got 80-degree weather in Haiti.
You heard that, elder lawyer? So it isn't as if this is something these Haitians, they don't want to leave their land. It's beautiful there. They want a better quality of life on the land they live on. Okay, their country. They don't want to go through this. She says, listen, you think I want to be here in the cold Chicago and right down it's 80 degrees over in Haiti? But guess what, folks? Guess what else they found over in Haiti not too long ago, folks? Guess what? Haiti, the whole island is almost sitting on oil, folks. Even under the water near Haiti, they found oil there. Now, I need y'all to think about that.
Don't nobody want any gang affiliated governments. We want to be free. We want to be democratic, but we're coming to the United States because we don't have any help. The president of Haiti was assassinated.
Oh yeah, somebody tell us about that. Why is it that Chavez dead? Now they have issues. Every president that gets in for the interest of their people in these certain countries, they end up missing, assassinated. Why? I thought you loved these poor asylum-seeking people.
There were 14,000 of us in Texas, as you know. And what happened to us? We were bussed. And when we were whipped with the horses, all of a sudden we weren't on the news anymore, and it was only the Spanish. So when we're thinking about these immigrants and these migrants that are here in Chicago, I don't want you to forget the black ones, like my family, like my friends. I want you to take care of us. I want you to help us, and I want you to encourage other congressmen, other black congressmen, to encourage the United States to stop interfering. We don't want to be here. We would love to stay home. So please, Congressman, if you can, do that for us.
Thank you.
He can't do a darn thing. He was there to pander. Okay? It ain't gonna happen.
You want me to hold? I don't need no mic. I want to hold my mic. I don't like man holding my stick.
Oh,
Brother Tyrone.
Oh, Lord, have mercy. Now, Elder, the streets is about to talk now. You got a man, I guess he understand. He heard those S's too. He said he ain't down with another man holding. You know, our people got away with words. So you know this is Judah right here. So Judah is about to come from the shadows.
Like man holding my stick.
Brother Tyrone.
He says he don't like a man holding his stick. So the other guy, the white dude running around with the microphone, was trying to hold the mic while this brother was talking. And he had to, use his own level of analogies here. Obviously, hearing those S's that we've all experienced, we heard earlier.
You want me to hold? I don't need no mic. I want to hold my mic. I don't like man holding my stick.
Brother Tyrone?
Yes.
Hold up. Hey, Elder Lord, you can't make this up. Tyrone showed up. Here it come. Now, this is coming from the soil right here. You know when Tyrone come, you know what I mean? It's unfiltered. We got to wait for this. Hold up now. Y'all gonna hit the like button before we go into this one. You know when Tyrone, this is Judah just showed up. Tyrone just showed up, folks. Stop the presses. Right? Tyrone. Don't make me put on Erykah Badu up in here. Let me tell you right now, when Tyrone come, that's a showstopper. Folks, the children of Israel just entered the building. Oh, shucks, Elder Lawyer. He made a grand entry. Hold up. He made a grand entry, all right?
Take care of us. I want you to help us, and I want you to encourage other congressmen, other black congressmen,
to blow this up.
Encourage the United States to stop interfering. We don't want to be here. We would love to stay home. So please, Congressman, if you can.
Here come Judah.
Do that for us.
Okay, sister, we heard you. It's time for you to slide over. Slide over. We heard you, sister. We feel you.
I don't need no mic. I want to hold my mic. I don't like man holding my stick.
Brother Tyrone?
Yes. Check. Transparency, that's my brother. That's my brother.
Elder Lawyer.
We disagree.
Now, this guy right here, you notice he was Elder Lawyer. This guy over here, the white guy over here, the one I told you who's really running things.
Yeah.
He usually stayed within 1 foot of every concerned, person in the audience.
Right.
Right now, he's socially distancing right now. There's social distancing. Look, he got his eye on him, Elder Lawyer. He's like, who he took? Now the brother took the mic from him. Here's Tyrone. Now, when the soil speaks, this is what you have to recognize, because everything he realized through his experiences on the streets, he understands how this thing is going to unfold. This guy right here is the one that everyone should be listening to. And look. Esau, like, oh, look over this gold hat. And I tell you, you know, my pop had a hat like that. I mean, some of these guys, they don't let those hats go. But right over this hat right here, Esau is like, woo! Oh, no. You better not touch him either, Esau. Tyrone is an experience in of himself. He's something that you've never experienced before. Okay? Tyrone, let's do it.
But that's my brother. I just want to say, anyway, what the sister said, I don't give a damn about no Joe Biden. So if that lady want to pass out something about that, that's her free will. Y'all can't be forcing democracy on people. She got the right, just like you got the right to say vote for Joe Biden. I got the right as somebody who represents formerly incarcerated person to say Joe Biden and Clinton 94 crime bill created that. And
now y'all see why they want only soft men representing our people, folks?
We haven't recovered from that. The only aside.
So he was down for 20 years through the Joe Biden what? The Joe Biden crime bill that was putting us away from marijuana and a little bit of crack. He served years for that.
Asylum seekers that's perpetually discriminated against in this country by everybody as formerly incarcerated people. They have 18,000 homeless.
And by the way, Esau, that mic belongs to Tyrone right now. Okay? If I was you, I wouldn't touch that mic. Okay? Tyrone said he don't like no other man touching his stick. That's what he said, folks, quote unquote. I'm gonna let you know right now. Okay? You can look, but you better not touch. He just let you know 20 years incarcerated. All right? So let's straighten this out. Let me hear him all the way through. Social distance now.
Vote for Joe Biden. I got the right as somebody who represents formerly incarcerated person to say Joe Biden and Clinton 94 crime bill created that. And we haven't recovered from that. The only asylum seekers that's perpetually discriminated against in this country by everybody is formerly incarcerated people. They have 18,000 homeless ex-cons, yet they're around here talking about public safety. You don't even know what these men are. Then you let more ex-convicts in here in the name of migrants. But they want to tell you that it's this on the state, it's on the Republicans. All politics is local. In this state, don't let them fool you. From the top, from the lieutenant governor to Tony Prackwinkle, to the mayor, to the police chief, to the state's attorney, to the aldermen, to the congressperson, to the state reps, all are black.
Hold up. Showstopper right there, elder lawyer. See, this is why you have to talk to people from the streets. This is why they ain't like Christ, because there's nothing good come out of Nazareth, right? Christ wasn't representing the bourgeoisie. Christ was down with the publicans and sinners, folks. He said, listen, don't come to me, elder lawyer. Don't come to me with it's a Republican issue here when all of the representatives in this state that's shaping and drafting policy looks like me. Unless you're telling me that there's others really running this and these people are puppets. The mayor, the aldermen, the representatives. So don't come to me about Republican because we've been living under Democrats all of our life. How many times I've said that, elder lawyer?
Countless.
Right? Chicago is a Democrat-ran state. I mean city. So how do you claim that it's about the Republicans? And see, and this is why he grabbed that mic. And this is why Esau have his eyes on Tyrone. Okay? And I know my man right here, you know, he probably marched on Selma right here. Let's do it.
You got 150 elected black positions, and our communities look the way they look. And if I say something, if it's not with my brother, he just got there. They want to legislate for us without ever bringing us at the table. I did 21 years in the prison. What they gonna tell me about what we need? They ain't never spent one day in the cell. But they legislate for your nephew, cousin, and son. Furthermore, ain't no kids in here. Ain't no teenagers in here. Over 150 murdered young men from ages 16 to 24, and ain't no kids in here. That's the problem. You old people, y'all keep voting the same way, hook, line, and sinker, without ever holding them accountable. And the very babies gonna kill y'all ass.
You heard what he said, Elder? If we don't do something about these schools, if we don't do something about these recreations that our children used to have, they're going to grow up and become a terror to the next generation of people. Who would know better than Tyrone, Elder Lawyer? He says they're going to have to eat. So what are they creating by giving all this money to migrants and leaving these young boys who are suffering in our communities without nothing? That's creating a whole nother demographic of evil that they know will eventually rise up and cause a racial cataclysm in the inner cities. They're banking on it. So this brother speaks to the cats in the streets and saying, well, listen, if they giving this money to these people, I know who got the money. And they say, listen, they can give them all the money they want. Guess what? Our families are going to eat. This is what these young men are saying. Right? You're not going to starve us out. So they're engineering, folks, a race war. And this man, Tyrone, is telling you. Tyrone is a prophet right now. Drop it, Ty.
Over 150 murdered young men from ages 16 to 24, and ain't no kids in here. That's the problem. You old people, y'all keep voting the same way, hook, line, and sinker, without ever holding them accountable. And the very babies gonna kill you.
Esau's like, give me that mic. Hey, brother, Esau. It's been 21 years this man been down. Check him out. He's orbiting around Tyrone, but Tyrone strategically put it in the other hand. So you got to almost go through him physically to get that microphone. So I need y'all to look at this.
Y'all ass. These kids are these little wolves. Hey, ain't nothing else nobody saying no more important than this. Hey, wrap your ass. Ain't nothing nobody saying more important than this. I'm tired of y'all playing games with these babies. These babies gonna start driving y'all, but they already doing it. They gonna kill you. I think y'all getting carjacked now. 60% unemployment rate for 18 to 24, and you got money for migrants.
Whoa! 60% unemployment, Elder Lloyd. He said, but yet y'all got money for migrants. So what is the street saying? They can get the money to the migrants, but that money really belongs to us. That's what the streets are saying. Now, if we got to go, this is what they're saying. If they got to go through the migrants to get their money, these young boys will. Tyrone is speaking for the streets. So what the streets are saying, Elder Lawyer, you can give the money to them, but that's our money. And if we have to go through them to get the money, that's what they're saying. Tyrone, they will. I'm headed all the way through.
Nobody's saying more important than this. I'm tired of y'all playing games with these babies. These babies gonna start driving y'all, but they already doing it. They gonna kill you. I think y'all getting carjacked now. 60% unemployment rate for 18 to 24, and you got money for migrants.
They're not hiring our young men anymore, Elder Lawyer. They'd rather hire our sisters for jobs our brothers used to do so that they can what? So they can actually bar us out of being able to financially grow as men. They'd rather give it to the migrants, and if there are some jobs, they'd rather give it to sisters. 60% of unemployment in Chicago for our young men. Schools are being shut down. And guess what? All of this is due to what? A Democrat-run KKK city.
Hey, y'all, I'm telling y'all, stop letting these people rhyme fast. It's a game being played, bro. Ain't no way. And how we got guns, how we got extended clips, 100-round drums, Glock 6, cocaine, heroin, and the weed, 99% of all dispensaries are owned by white men. Y'all got to be out y'all damn mind. We should be marching in Washington. We should be crushing them. They shouldn't even be allowed in our neighborhood. That's what's finna happen.
He says, how do we got all these guns and it's white people running all the drug dispensaries? And he just spent 20 years probably for the drugs under the Biden law. He says, so how do we conveniently have all these guns for these young men and no jobs? What do you think they're funding the community, our men, with guns for? Put two and two together. Tyrone did. You can't give them jobs, but you give them guns. And on top of guns, now Tyrone, no, he probably have seen them. Drums of ammunition when these guys can't afford anything. Where are they getting this stuff from? So it seems as if I can surmise here, Elder Lawyer, it seems that Tyrone knows something here. Seems like he understands something. You can't give the young man jobs, but you'll give him guns. And then let them know that all the money that belongs to their parents, because they built the country, is being given to some strangers that they can easily get the money from if they're willing to use the guns. Tyrone is telling you, it's about to be a war in the inner city. All right? So, hey, you can't even, listen, there's nothing to say after that one. Right? Well, before I open up the lines real quick, Elder Lawyer, I need to show this. Because people think it's only happening in Chicago and in New York. They're not really reporting how the landscape have changed in all these other cities, including Philadelphia, when it comes to the migrants. See, they're just focusing on the Asherites that are going into New York and or Chicago, who are Venezuelans. What they're not focusing on is the landscape changing in other inner cities like Philadelphia with Asians and East Indians. And look, but they have a plan for our people. Last week we reported about the sisters who are getting evicted at an alarming rate. And these were the sisters who voted in Biden, who thought that he would have their back. Brothers aren't going for it. We know who they are. Check out what Philly is considering, Elder. Philly is considering plans for tiny house villages as homeless camps remain. So they got a plan, because you'll never guess who's going to be over the social programs, over welfare and all these others. It's going to be two people. It's going to be the letter people, and it's going to be migrants eventually, or their representatives who are going to be over the social programs. And why? Because based on the numbers, that's right, folks, the finances go to their highest constituencies. So when our people need something, we're going to have to go to Asians and others for housing, and they have a plan for you. Their plan is to make sure the housing you're living in, if there's vouchers or anything, that their people live in those. Okay? They got a new spot for our people, for our sisters. Philly considering plans for tiny house village as homeless camps remain. See? The plan has been in the works for about 2 years. Folks, this was September 2020 when everyone was talking about the pandemic. They were already moving towards alternative housing at that time. As if someone knew that the next phase after the sickness would be immigration. Huh? Are you following me here? Right? But they're not going to say it's for us. They're going to say poor people. Or sometimes they'll say black and brown people. Right? With 40,000 people in Philadelphia on wait list trying to get into affordable housing, you know, Section 8 and all that. Section 8. The city is considering one tiny solution that could help in a big way. Oh, isn't this lovely? Now, could it be the $220 million that was given to the asylum seekers so they can stay in their original abodes, Elder Lawyer? Could it be that? Oh, no. Biden wouldn't have that for you. Many details are still being worked out, but the city is exploring plans to build one more villages of tiny houses. And that's why they had that campaign on HGTV and others, tiny houses, to get you adjusted into living, that's right, in a shack. Now, suppose you can design your own tiny house, right? So who's going to live in those brownstones and those nice houses that used to be able to live in under Section 8? Well, the Section 8 subsidies doesn't have the same effect under the asylum-seeking bills. Why? Because people can now rent out their houses and apartments. Landlords, they want you out because, Elder Lawyer, they can rent under the asylum-seeking programs. They can rent one of their houses and or apartment out for $7,000 to $8,000 under this new program for asylum seekers. Right? So you have landlords who are seeking to get out of their Section 8 contracts because that's where the money used to be, where they can charge you almost double what the rent would have been if you're Section 8. And now all the landlords are talking and saying, it's not about Section 8 anymore. We need to get them out of our Section 8 because there's new programs. I can get these new immigrants in. I can get $9,000 a month for an asylum seeker. Right? And these people, these tenants aren't coming with any complaints. They're not going to talk about what need to get fixed or having issues about rent. I don't got to worry about them complaining about anything because they're just happy to be here. I'm getting $9,000 a month, guaranteed $8,000 with a happy tenant as long as the government is pushing out money like this. And this is why, sisters, a lot of you being moved around, they're saying you have to leave your Section 8 because the real money is no longer there. The real money is in asylum-seeking housing. And this is what this guy, Representative Jackson, didn't tell you, that he's talking about affordable housing, but it's not for our people, not for our men, women, or children. This is what they got for those who used to be on Section 8. Look good. I'm mapping it out for you. Many details are still being worked out. It's like we're still figuring this out. We don't know for sure. Yeah, right. But the city is exploring plans to build one or more villages of tiny houses that can be a bit at a lesser cost than redeveloping some existing homes. Now, we don't want to help you make your home livable and all that where you are. No, we want to move you out because these things belong to the asylum seekers now, okay? The plan is one effort to fight homelessness by getting people into a home of their own. But folks, they never cared about the homeless who are living, on the streets with our people. They didn't talk about homelessness until they began to realize that they would open up the doors for asylum seekers. So these homeless people they're talking about, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this well, folks. If your housing has been provided by the government, regardless of what they're telling you, you are officially homeless. Understand that. You are homeless. And this is what they're not telling you. You don't own the home. You're under subsidies that's paying for it. That means you're under homeless housing. Therefore, because you are homeless and don't own the home, and it's the vouchers paying for it, they can move you any place they want. See, I'm breaking it down to you. Because they only lie to you and make you believe you got your own house. I got this and I got that and all that. And guess what? It's good to feel you own something. But guess what, folks? They realized they would pivot to this. They're coming after our sisters and our children now. Mayor Jim Kenney. I wonder what persuasion is he? And other leaders have mentioned tiny houses once placed in 2021 should alleviate some concerns of people in 3 homeless camps around the city. Now, they're telling you homeless camps, folks, but I did the research on this. Folks, this is the wave of the future. Philadelphia Housing Authority. I know. I lived in Philadelphia Housing Authority. We grew up living in the Philadelphia. We know what Philadelphia Housing Authority is. So they're going to start making you believe it's about the camps and all that, because they don't want to alarm our people that these new camps, these new housing controlled cities that will control communities that will be heavily policed are for black people. They don't want to tell you this. So they're making you think that that this new homeless stuff is for the people in tents. No, the asylum seekers will be living in the houses you're living in. All right. Elder Lawyer. Now let's go to the betrayal real quick, and then we'll open up the lines. 515-605-9327. And Christ told us, brothers and sisters, about people like this. Like people like Maxine Waters. People who would lie to you and say that, well, we need to put more money into education, having us believe it's educating our children. When really it's about having them siphon money to these programs that are helping their taskmasters continue in a position to lie and or betray us. So when they say education and put more money, HCBUs and black universities and others, they're not, the HBCUs, guess what? The gates are tore down, the place, rats infested. It's the worst colleges on earth. Our people don't even want to play sports in these places. So there's no money going through there. They're using that money, I believe, to siphon, to actually go into people like this. And it's a two-edged sword, because then it makes it where at your most impressionable time of your life, that by the time you are an adult, you become a debt slave and owe the government and all of that before you have an opportunity to make a dime. To make you a debt slave. So they'll peddle these things as if these things are benefiting us, when these are the people these colleges are producing. Enemies of God and enemies of God's people. Not once did he come up with a solution throughout this whole 31 minutes that would ease the concerns of a people who he claimed was his constituents, those who actually put him in office, and he never said a thing about how he's going to help our people who's suffering. Let's read it, Elder Lawyer, and then we'll open up the lines.
Yes, sir. And I have a few things to bring after I read this.
Oh, okay. Absolutely. Absolutely, Elder Lawyer. Chapter and verse. Let's get it here.
Yes, sir. This is Matthew 24:6.
Matthew 24, verse 6. Right? And this is Christ. Right? Let's read it.
St. Matthew 24:6. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places.
So that's race against race, for brothers and sisters. That's the policy they're pushing right now. And they're blatantly saying that we don't have a darn thing for the tribe of Judah. We got money for the state of Israel, a newly found state in our modern time. That's an extension of a land for Jewish people. That they got money right now to give billions of them in front of our face. Biden just agreed to pay that. They said they got money for Ukrainians who did nothing to build the country. And now, in our face, 220 million and counting to what they call asylum seekers. They're saying die already. That's nation against nation. That's pitting race against race. Christ knew their policy and what they would do to actually finish the desolation on our people. Read.
Yes, sir. Verse number 8.
Read.
All these are the beginning of sorrows.
All these are the beginning of Jacob's trouble. It's the beginning of it. It's aimed towards destroying those who believe in Christ because we are the people of Christ. Same genealogy, same nation, same people. And it's not no religious belief. It's who we are. We're from the tribes of Israel. The blacks in America are from the tribes of Judah. And the world powers have begun to politically leverage themselves against Judah because they knew it would be our voice that would wake the 12 tribes up in the last days. Read.
Verse 9. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake.
And we shall be hated of all different races for his name. Okay, we don't uphold Buddha. Buddha do nothing for us. It's helping Asian people. We don't have nothing to do with Allah. Allah does nothing for us. It's helping Arab people. We have nothing to do with the Jesus, Cesar Borgia Jesus they've put up for the Caucasians' religion, heightened political pagan religion that comes from the Vatican. See? We're not down with any of that. Understand this. And it says, then they shall deliver you up, and you shall be hated of all nations. Why? Because they know who we are, folks. They know we're the people of the promise. We're the people who will change the world. We have changed the world. We're the blessed children of Israel, and they hate us because of our God. Because our God gave us a promise. Okay? And that promise, brothers and sisters, is yet to come into fruition. But they know it's coming. So they've lined all the nations and rallied them together to attack and or to destroy us politically or otherwise before that promise is assumed. But it doesn't matter what they do. They'll never get in the way of God's promise to his people. And that in of itself is infuriating them. So they're using political genocide to do what? To scratch us out, to bar us out of society. The black man in particular, who's from the tribe of Judah, is the target. Guys like Tyrone is an issue. Because one thing about the streets, let me tell you, People from the streets see directly through the political bull. 10.
Verse 10, and then shall many be offended and shall betray one another and shall hate one another.
And that's where we are now. That's where we are now, folks, under this politically correct scenario where everyone became a victim. We're living in a soft society where if someone's feelings is hurt, they'll become an enemy instantly, strictly off of their personal issues and their personal feelings getting hurt. Okay? So it's to a point where you can't even correct one another because now your feelings is hurt and immediately people are becoming enemies. This is what the Bible is talking about. And it says, and many shall be offended and shall betray one another. And this is why I'm going to tell you, this is why the letter people think is so deep where they have these people in position, because why? A lot of these people have an axe to grind against traditional family because when they grew up and was growing up under certain circumstances, they feel they weren't protected by their family. That something happened, that someone was able to violate or get in the way of their natural progression into adulthood. And once they got educated and got in position, they sought to seek vengeance against traditional family. That's a betrayal. So they dress these people up and give them political positions so they can seek their vengeance. So they can seek their vengeance through policy against what? Their targeted aim that they have through hatred. So that's why they can stand up there and lie to you and say, well, listen, I don't care what happened to you, because they feel that no people was in position to stop something from happening to them. They'll lie in your face. Okay? They'll lie in your face and say there's nothing we can do because it was Trump. Knowing that they're getting paid and they're getting financing for going along with the agenda to betray and destroy their own people. But Elder Lawyer, like I said earlier, what they don't realize is that once the enemy is done with our people, they're coming after those who would betray their own. Mm-hmm. How can the enemy trust you when behind closed doors you sow vitriol through policy to kill your own people? How do you think they're going to be able to trust you? They can't trust you. So now, once they help the enemy, what the taskmasters destroy his own people, then they're going to turn around and do what? And see, and there's an adage that's out there, right? And they were showing this during the Jewish Holocaust. That if there was any scenario where Jewish people was help rounding up their own people, right? Elder Lawyer, you with me?
Yep.
And if Jewish people was helping their own people on the train, after what? After those people were killed, the person who helped round them up saying, yeah, it's okay, you're going to spare me too. Nah. That grave that was digged is for you too. They show that during the Jewish Holocaust, that even the Jews who helped round people up, at the end of it, the Nazis said, hey, if you're going to help do this to your own people, you think we can trust you? You can hit the dirt too. And that's what gods like this don't understand. If you will betray your own people, how can they trust you? So they're going to allow the asylum seekers to do what? Genocide our people out of the community and eventually turn on those and turn on these same puppets who betrayed their own people. So we're breaking it down tonight. Here's the future. Betrayal. Betrayal. And when it says many false prophets, it's talking about, folks, false ideology, policy, things that would aim us off the beaten path concerning the prophecy of God's people. We'll be hearing all these voices and begin to trust them outside of what? What God said, what God is talking about. And guess what? Politics, the Democratic Party, all of that is part of the policy of a false prophet that gives false hope. Elder Lawyer, what say you?
Yes, sir. I'll read this last verse and then I'll go in. It says here in verse 12, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold.
The iniquity is sin, because now they've given a green light for our people in particular, to be represented as a sinful, debaucherous, unchaste, whoredom type of people. Right? So since sin have risen in the earth, and now they have actually made us the poster child for it. Read, the love of many shall wax cold. So now, who cares what happens to you? You think the world cares what happened to someone who would parade themselves up like Sukiana? Mm-hmm. Like Sexy Red and all? You think the world would care what happens to people like that? This is why they promote it, so that what? So that now the world don't care what happens to a people who would only what? According to their promotion, who would only disease the rest of the earth with their perversions. So because of that, there's no sympathy. If you can be promoted as debaucherous and evil and sinful, you get no sympathy. And that's why it says, the love of many shall wax cold. Anything happened to us, the world is responding back with, you deserve it. Now, are they right? I don't believe they're right, because they're just not promoting the good amongst our people. I don't think they're right, because there's a subculture amongst all people, but yet white people and Asian people and others aren't going to let that subculture represent them on the international stage. So because we are, the sin amongst our people is being promoted, no one cares. There's no sympathy for us anymore. Read, Elder Lawyer.
But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved.
But those who stick through and follow God's law and understand the tactics politically of what's going on, you're going to make it through this. By following God's law and the words of Christ and the direction of Christ, repenting for our sins and standing as a moral example before the earth, there's no way we can be defeated wholesale. A remnant of our people will make it through if we're willing to get on code with God. Elder Lawyer?
Yes, sir. What I'm about to say, this is a message for all of us. When I say all of us, I mean all 12 tribes. But I want to speak specifically to the 10 tribes that are scattered abroad, mainly because this message that I'm about to put forward is something that hopefully you all can spread to and speak to those who are coming from some of these countries to kind of let them know exactly what game is being played, right? We understand that all of this is being put forth by the powers that be. The same way we're being used and have been used politically in certain instances, they are also being used politically in certain instances. And what we're praying is this. This is the book of Psalms chapter 69, verse number 22. It says, let their table become a snare before them.
What chapter and verse you at, Elder Lawyer?
This is Psalm 69 and 22.
Let me get it so that they can read it. I want to make sure they have the Bible, because a lot of people are against the Bible, but it's just that they've been using the Bible incorrectly. I'm speaking about these pagan Jesuits that have set up Christian churches. And through that, a lot of our people have lost confidence in the word, because through years, it's been taught incorrectly through the enemy's philosophy and ideology.
Right. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because we're going to show that everything that we've been discussing on this topic, on this matter, is mapped out plainly and clearly in the Bible.
Okay. Psalms, so what are they?
Yep, Psalm 69 and 22. It says, let their table become a snare before them, because yes, the powers that be are setting a table. What table are they setting? Well, they're setting up an instance in which eventually the tribes of Judah, or so-called African American in this country, will be phased out. And they're using our brothers and sisters from places such as Venezuela and some of the South American countries, Mexico, okay, who are also of the tribes of Israel. They're using them to do it. At least they're going to try to.
Yeah.
It says, and that which should have been for their welfare, meaning that which would have been for the welfare of the powers that be. What's for their welfare? Again, they're trying to phase out the tribes of Judah. So that which should have been for their welfare, let it become a trap. And that's what we're praying for. We're praying that everything that they're doing will become a trap, that it will work against them. How? By our brothers and sisters from the 10 tribes communicating and being able to outreach and speak to our brothers and sisters who are coming from these countries, letting them know exactly what the game is, what the plan is, and how they're being used, who they are according to the Bible, according to history, and how they're going to be used to work against those who are their brothers according to the Bible, according to prophecy, and according to history. So I want to build upon a point you stated earlier on the fact that we don't blame our brothers and sisters for their desire to find refuge. We don't blame them for trying to find a better place or trying to seek some level of asylum from their places that have been destroyed, that are going through famine, that's going through levels of persecution, so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. We know that our forefathers did the same exact thing. Going to the book of Genesis chapter 12, verse number 10. I'm going to read this very quickly. Genesis 12 and 10.
Yeah, I'm there.
Again, those of the 12 tribes can share this information with our brothers and sisters coming from these countries to let them know that, again, we're not against them. We don't blame them. Again, what they're doing, what they're seeking is no different than what our forefathers have done historically whenever there's been persecution, whenever there's been famine, whenever there's been trouble in the places in which they reside. Here's an example with Abraham. It says here in Genesis 12 and 10, and there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down into Egypt to sojourn there, for the famine was grievous in the land. And it came to pass when he was near to come near into Egypt, that he said unto Sarai his wife, behold now, I know that thou art a fair woman to look upon. Therefore it shall come to pass when the Egyptians shall see thee, that they shall say, this is his wife, and they will kill me, but they will save thee alive. Say, I pray thee, thou art my sister, that it will be well with me for thy sake, and my soul shall live because of thee. So again, this is an example of our forefather Abraham traveling into another country because the country that he was promised was going through a famine. So he had to go somewhere else to seek what? Refuge. Right? We're not against that. The book of Matthew 10 and 23 says what? When you're persecuted in one city, flee ye into the next. We're not against that. But here is the problem. Okay? Here's the problem. Going to the book of 2 Kings chapter 17, verse number 3. Before I get that, let's get Isaiah 11 and 12.
Okay. Isaiah 11 and 12, I'm there.
All right, it says here, Isaiah 11 and 12. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcast of Israel, and shall gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. So we know that Christ will reunite the 12 tribes, right? But here's the point, verse 13. The envy also of Ephraim shall depart. So yes, there's some envy that is on the part of Ephraim against his brother Judah. Meaning what? There's friction there between Ephraim and Judah, and the powers that be know that.
Yeah. And let me make it clear. Ephraim represents the 10 tribes who were scattered starting at 721 BC. And because they mixed themselves with the people, are of lighter skin. Judah, Benjamin, and Levi stayed in Judea. This is why they're predominantly dark, like you see those in Africa. To a degree, through a space of time, these two would believe that they're two separate races when they aren't.
Right.
That really, even though Satan is working, Bible says what? When you're persecuted in one city, flee into the next. So the Most High knew that they would actually run into us because Judah needed to do our job in helping reunite the 12 tribes. And the Most High will use this snare that they think is a snare. The Most High will use this for himself to allow them to interact with Judah again, like we did before the split.
Mm-hmm.
So when it says Ephraim, Ephraim represents the other 10 tribes, not just Ephraim or the Puerto Ricans, because Ephraim was the king of the 10 tribes. And Judah represents the tribes they have more so issue with. The darker tribes, like the Haitians, the Jamaicans who are Benjamin, the Haitians who are Levi, and the blacks in America who are in fact Judah. So now if Christ is going to do what? He's going to begin to unite the 12 tribes as a prophecy, then a lot of this policy will lead to us interacting when we wouldn't have probably interacted otherwise. Right? Go ahead, Abdullah. I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. It says here, the envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim. So the powers that be, knowing prophecy, knowing who we are using this against us. They're using the fact that there's friction between us to have them eventually come over and use them politically again to phase us out. Okay? Let's go to the book of 2 Kings, chapter 17, verse number 3.
Okay, I'm there, Abdullah.
All right, 2 Kings 17 and 3, showing an example in past times of nations being deported, nations being displaced, and being used politically against the tribes of Judah, okay? Or the
tribes of Israel, yeah.
Verse number 3, it says here, against him came up Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, and Hosea became his servant and gave him presents. And the king of Assyria found conspiracy in Hosea, for he had sent messengers to So, king of Egypt, and brought no present to the king of Assyria, as he had done year by year. Therefore the king of Assyria shut him up and bound him in prison. Verse 5, then the king of Assyria came up throughout all the land and went up to Samaria and besieged it 3 years. Verse 6, key point. And in the 9th year of Hoshea, the king of Assyria took Samaria and carried Israel away into Assyria and placed them in Halah and in Habor by the river of Gozan and the cities of the Medes. So this is not the first time our brothers from the 10 tribes have been taken, moved from place to place, have been displaced, and have been used, what? Politically. It says this is from the New KJV, or the NKJV Cultural Background Bible. This is in the commentary. It says, deportation became a standard tactic of Assyrian kings after Tiglath-Pileser III, which was in part, check this out, which was in part designed to reduce the chance of future trouble from a conquered city or state by dispelling any strong sense of community and leadership. So they would use deportation and the removal of nations, moving them from place to place, using them politically, okay, to water down nations, to destroy the ability of the nation that has been deported from being able to rise up, okay, and the nation to which they've been deported. It causes issues for that nation. We see that when we jump down to verse number 22. Okay, where other nations were placed where? In the land of Israel. And we're going to show you with the last scripture how they became a stumbling block for the Judites.
Yep, I'm here.
Yep, this is First King. We're still in 2 Kings 17, jumping down to verse number 22.
Mm-hmm.
It says, for the children of Israel walked in all the sins of Jeroboam, which he did. They departed not from them until the Lord removed Israel out of his sight. as he had said by all his servants the prophets. So was Israel carried away out of their own land unto Assyria this day.
Okay.
And the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon, and from Cuthah, and from Avah, and from Hamath, and from Sepharvaim, and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel. So now we're seeing what? The floodgates being opened, and other nations being moved into the land of Israel, first and foremost to replace the original Israelites that were in the land. Those are the 10 tribes that were removed, right? And it says here, and it was so that at the beginning of dwelling there, that they feared not the Lord, therefore the Lord sent lions among them. So we all know this history, right? But now let's go to the last scripture to show how they were being used, those nations that were placed in the land of Israel, how they were being used against the remaining tribes of Judah, meaning Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Nehemiah chapter 4, verse number 1. I'm going to take it down to verse 8. This will be the last scripture.
Yep.
It says, but it came to pass that when Sanballat heard that we builded the wall, this is us returning from the Babylonian captivity and rebuilding the wall which was destroyed by Nebuchadnezzar, he was wroth and took great indignation and mocked the Jews. So when they saw us, the Gentiles that were placed in the land, when they saw us trying to rebuild, it says they took great indignation. They were peeved at the fact that we were trying to rebuild our country. And he spake before his brethren, before the army of Samaria, and said, what do these feeble Jews? Will they fortify themselves? Will they sacrifice? Will they make an end in a day? So now they started becoming concerned as to what it is we're doing. Why are we trying to rebuild? Why are we trying to do certain things within our country to build ourselves up? So they start having these conversations among themselves.
These concerns, like they was concerned about what happened in Oklahoma.
Right.
Black Wall Street, when they're not telling people that was an Israelite build. A lot of these were those who migrated into those areas who knew they were Israelites, folks, and began to build their own Wall Street to rival the Wall Street in New York. But go on.
Right, and it says here, will they revive the stones out of the heaps of the rubbish which are burned? Are they going to rebuild? Now Tobiah the Ammonite, check out these nations. Tobiah the Ammonite, we know that the Ammonite is who? The Jordanians. Was by him, and he said, even that which they built, if a fox go up, he shall even break down their stone wall. Hear, O God, for we are despised, and turn our reproach upon their head, and give them a prey in the land of captivity. I'm going to jump down to verse number 7. But it came to pass that when Sanballat and Tobiah and the Arabians and the Ammonites and the Ashdodites heard that the walls of Jerusalem were made up and that the breaches began to be stopped, then they were very wroth.
There go your Arabs again. Here they go. Here they go. Here go your Ishmaelites or Muslims again, working in collusion against us with the other nations. Read.
Verse 8, last verse. And conspired all of them together to come and fight against Jerusalem and to hinder it. So that was their plan. All of these nations coming together, the Arabians, the Ammonites, which are the modern day Jordanians, along with the Sumerians, them uniting together to prevent us from developing, to prevent us from rebuilding. Okay? At a very important time in which we're realizing exactly what's being done to us politically. Okay? And that's what's taking place now. So again, for those of our brothers and sisters who are of the 10 tribes who are in the truth, it's going to be upon you to start communicating and start reaching out and letting brothers and sisters know exactly what the game is and how they are not to allow themselves to be used against their own brethren in this country. And with that, I yield.
Yeah, so we got more work to do. And I don't think it's a coincidence, Elder Lawyer, that out of nowhere, our new website, we're going to have one site of our website. When you hit the button, automatically, if you're Spanish speaking, the whole site is going to be in their language all of a sudden.
Right.
So another reason why they're doing it politically, because they know the Israelites has awakened the truth about Christ and that we're dealing with end day prophecy. And because of that, they cannot really push their agendas under this particular ideology or exegesis we're teaching through the Bible. Because we're not teaching this pie in the sky doctrine about some boogeyman by the Antichrist who will come after the church been floated up into the sky. Right? So it's hard for them to push their agenda now that the evangelicals have been exposed to be what? To be puppets under some certain levels of Zionism, whatever the case, some of them under that, whatever the case might be. So now they can't push their doctrine, their geopolitics through the churches anymore. Our people know the truth now, and we're standing in the way and getting everyone aware that their next phase is the mark of the beast. So they need agreeable people who would be just gracious and grateful to actually be a part of America, who will not disagree with their next phase leading to the mark of the beast. So what better way to do it than to get the people who would resist them out of the way, to get people in the country who would be in full compliance in order to stay in the country. And that leads me to my last piece before opening up the phones. You see how they tied everything together with the fires and all that, right? Elder Lawyer, now they have monitoring for the animals, right? And I've seen this since 2015. In case there's a forest fire, right? They want to help the earth. So they got a GPS primer that they would put on. Look, you can't make this up, Elder Lawyer. Out of all of the animals, they would put a tracker on the lion. They put trackers, so if something happened, a forest fire or whatever, and it was a future forest fires, they'd be able to find the animals by not putting a tracker on all of the animals, but the lion is usually in the center of it. It really leads the rest of the animals. So if they can find the lion, they can help the rest of the animals in its proximity, because usually lions put themselves in the center for their prey. So they strategically, in any forest, they stay in the center so that they can have prey all around them. So they say, listen, we need to find one lion, tranquilize him, put a tracker on him. You know, it's a chip now. But then if there's a forest fire, we can save the animals. Right? I need you to check this out, folks. So they know that we're going to get in front of this, let everybody know, do not take their technology to be tracked for any reason whatsoever. Do not get nothing injected in you, no brain chips, no hand chips. That is the mark of the beast. Where all of your technology, all of your bank systems, everything, your finances, your identification will be put in one database. And they're testing it with animals through the forest fire, right? So in the midst of a crisis, then if you try to escape or go somewhere, they'll be able to find you. So out of all the animals to test it on, Elder Lawyer, the mark of the beast. And this is why they want to get us out of the way, because we're wanting people not to go with their next phases of conveniences. Right? Out of all the animals that they would like to put a track on, Elder Lawyer, they conveniently chose the lion. The lion, you know, that represents Judah. Mm-hmm. With that, that's open. That's why they need us out of the way, because they know that the truth would come through Judah. And we're here, Elder Lawyer, to make sure that when our people come, that they are to be shown what? The path towards this kingdom, because we got next. You Venezuelans, you're not our enemy. You are our brother. Don't let them try to leverage you off with us. You're here to be saved with us. Okay? So even though the enemy going to do what they got to do, guess what? We're going to do our job to make sure these Asherites come through and understand that what? It won't be long till all of us are united at the very end together in Zion. And at that point, guess what, folks? We'll never be displaced again. It's the Most High really uniting us throughout all of this. All right? With that, 515 605-9327. We're going to have only a few phone calls tonight, not too many. So hold on. So let me get the line in, and then we'll conclude the night. What say you? What say you? All right, hold on, Elder Lawyer. If something happens, Elder Lawyer, where I can't get in or something, hold on.
Yeah, sometimes I drop from time to time, but it's fine. I'll find my way back in.
All right, hold on. I'll make sure it doesn't happen this time.
Yes, sir. I'm just going to step away for 1 second.
All right.
Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Please hold and you will be able to listen to the show.
Unmuted.
Okay, thank you, Elder Ramar. The lines are open. We have Michael we have Mawara, and then Michael. Matter of fact, Michael been waiting longer. So let's start with Michael. He has a comment. Shalom, Mike.
Hello?
Shalom, you're live, Mike. You have a comment. The floor is yours.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm trying to sneak off at work. I just want to say, like, you're pretty much right. A lot of things they're going to turn on us with. The people, you know, since they're not arresting you for crimes in L.A., if it's not like $2,000 worth, people think they're getting away with, you know, smashing and grabbing. But the thing is, they're going to start, they're making new laws already. And they're all going to be geared at us. And they know who those people are. They already have biometric technology. That's why after the shutdown situation, they're still allowing us to wear a mask in public places because the biometrics, even if your face is covered, you're identified by the shape of your body. But it's all going to be against us, and it's going to be nothing but a bad outcome. But that's all I got for you.
Thank you, my brother. Great points. Great points. Let me put you on hold. We have Mazara has a comment. No, Mawara. No, Mawara. Mawara. How you doing?
It's Mawara.
Mawara. Okay, all right. I got it from now on. Mawara. All right. The floor is yours.
No problem. Excellent, broadcast as always. I have a couple of points. I'm going to throw them out here and jump on out your way.
Okay.
The first thing is, a lot of our sisters, specifically, as we know, are, been voting, the larger part of the Democratic bloc. Well, one of the things is called colluding in our own oppression in this, because as we continue to vote for them, it's the Democratic Party who's bringing on, all these Venezuelan immigrants. Well, of course, part of those immigrants are women. So now if the passport brothers who don't have passports, they don't have to go anywhere else to get women. I'm sorry?
No, I'm listening. I ain't say anything. The floor is yours.
Oh, yeah. So, now they don't have to, grab a passport and, fly anywhere to get the so-called traditional women or whatever. And of course, the Venezuelan people are very beautiful people as well. So, we're going to be outpaced just in, we're already saying we're having a hard time finding quality brothers. Just think about when that pool is even diluted more. The second point is that with the housing, so I'm not on like any government assistance programs. I've always had to work for everything I've got. But one of the things about all of this housing shortage issue, or the way they're doing it with the housing market, period, whether you are renting, like paying your own rent, or even if you're trying to buy a house, a little three-card Monte game they're playing with the mortgages and the inflation rates and all that, it's outpricing us. Because why would anybody rent you a house for, $1,500 or $1,800 or whatever, when I can get $7,000 for an asylum seeker for the same space? So we're being outclassed and being, outpriced a lot of that. And of course, but Trump is a racist. who was trying to close the borders, you know. So that was really the couple of pieces I wanted to ask. One last thing is, you know, what are you holding? Because you've been holding something. I've been trying to figure out what that was. And can you get Tyrone on one of the shows, the Academy, on the blog? Get that brother Tyrone from Illinois. Get him on the show if we can. So thank you. And that was all I have.
Don't go anywhere, because this is Sisters Week in the Academy, where we're going into the purpose of a woman, actually. So I'm glad you called in, because a lot of what you said really dovetails into where we're going. All right, with the lesson as far as getting back on purpose with God, and speaking about sisters in particular, right? Not being judgmental. A lot of this trauma that's going on in our communities is real, but eventually we have to let our sisters know that it's relenting, unforgiving, and the world isn't listening to any of what even if our experiences are true. The world is unforgiving and aren't listening anymore. They're coming after our sisters. So first of all, I was holding in my hand a JBL speaker, Bluetooth, because I was tired of having my headphones on and hearing myself. It's like backward when I'm trying to teach and I'm hearing headphones. So I use a Bluetooth speaker to come through the condenser mic now. That's what I was holding in my hand.
Okay.
I should have just left it.
I was just being nosy.
Oh, no, that's fine. It's a JBL speaker. It works excellently. And I wanted Lawyer to be heard right. So I got this new system now that I'll probably put it somewhere. I'm glad you said that, where it can't be seen going forward. Oh, I'll probably lay it down like this. You probably wouldn't see it, right? The next thing, since we know that this whole thing was socially engineered to make life so hard for our brothers and sisters to not get on each other's page, where they knew men would give up altogether and say, you know what, we just have to clock out, right? We just timing out of it, because as soon as we get to understand or think we know what it would take to have a family and a woman, whatever the case is, the dynamics have changed for men so much to where men are just going back to cavemen days. They're saying, listen, I'm going to go find the most, the most primitive scenario I can find so I can have a traditional family. So at this point, I'm even speaking to a lot of brothers, they're just saying, listen, I'm just looking for a traditional woman. And it's just not the thing that's being taught within the Western world anymore. And you made a good point when you stated that no longer do brothers have to deal with passports. If the women who are learned to be traditional and are used to nuclear families are being let in by the thousands into the country looking for good men. Keep in mind that when you look at the statistics, and I'm going to talk about that this Sunday, the most sought after man in America in particular, quote unquote, internationally, is first the white man. Mm-hmm. But second, throughout all men in the world, the next man that's desired is the black so-called African American man, outside of the white man internationally. Mm-hmm. And when these women come in, they're going to be coming in looking for our brothers. So all in, and like all races, the women outnumber the men. So when they come over here, and they already outnumber their men, right? It's going to make a disparity between them and their man, where now brothers going to be looking at them and saying, well, okay, I'll go that way, right? So let me ask you, based on that, what is your message for the sisters, knowing what's coming down the pipeline? Because we know that they're seeking to move sisters out of housing, who have housing. They're looking to make it harder. Inflation is coming up. And other women are coming over here as an option whom brothers may deem more agreeable under certain circumstances. Whether or not it's true, of course, it's not absolute. That is an issue when you speak to men. And I believe that sisters should more so start listening to what men are saying, right? And stop dismissing what men are saying. What would be your advice for the sisters, knowing what's coming over the borders?
Thank you for that question. Actually, I don't know if you remember, but I'm a writer. So I actually am currently working on a book covering Titus, from Proverbs 31 and Titus 2, what it actually means to be that and what that transition looks like from, from the biblical perspective. And part of that is understanding that, and I'll share this tidbit, is that when you understand what the word virtuous means in Proverbs 31, part of that is to be an army or a military. That's actually the word that's used a lot in that when you look at that definition for Chael. Well, when we understand that we are that military, we are to protect the dominion of our king. So that king could be our dad.
Listen, I'm saying, but let's break it down as if we're talking to a 5-year-old. If you were listen to me. If you're speaking to a 5-year-old, make it not too much complex. If there's a message that you got to a 5 or 10-year-old and say, sisters, this is my advice to you, understanding what's coming through over the border and how there's such a disparity between men and women. What would you say to sisters to get them immediately on board and understanding what's going on in the earth today?
I would just let sisters know that our very survival depends on their ability to go back to the scriptural definition of what a woman is. How we are supposed to operate, without men.
Sister, I'm giving you a chance, but let me answer it. Right? And I'm saying this because women, believe it or not, girls aren't saying this. I'm saying the girls. They're seeking simple directions and isn't getting it from the older generation. For whatever reason, they're just not getting it. Right? And I think it needs to come a time where sisters like you who do have the truth can be able to articulate it in a simple manner. Like, for instance, and I'm going to give you an example. I think out of all, things is different now, right? And I believe the answer is sisters have to get all the way on board and become 100% agreeable with their men. And if they don't do it, they're going to lose their men altogether. And I don't care.
Right. And I'm sorry, I thought that is what I just said.
No. You said it wasn't as simple as like a sister can hear what I just said, right? And I know some people say, "Well, I don't care, let them go," or whatever the case is. But that's just pride speaking or being hurt speaking. No one wants to be alone.
Right.
No one wants to know that others are being chosen over them. That hurts. And I believe it's time for our sisters to just humble themselves and realize, because the brothers, I'm going to tell you, I speak to my sons, I speak to the young men out there. They prefer our sisters. And really the other women they're going into, it's just the alternative because they feel that it's too combative. It's too much work just to be with the sisters they want to be with. And it's just that simple. And I think sisters need to be more agreeable. And I've seen some sisters come out, and I'm going to play the video. Sisters now are getting online and saying, well, listen, it's time for us to just be with other women. Because hey, I'm just saying, that's what they're saying now. And it's because they say, listen, they're saying we need 2 incomes, and I have to come back around and say, why can't you just be agreeable with the men and there'll be 2 incomes? We're in a system where no one can actually survive and have a good quality of life to be able to scale financially without having 2 incomes in the home. You can survive with 1 income, but the reality is 2 incomes are needed. Now, that's a problem with the woman saying that, because the new statistics are in where the highest degree of DV or domestic violence is amongst now, when you look at the rate of calls when it comes to police, is in lesbian households, where even the women can't agree with each other anymore. And you can't blame the men for that because there's not a man in the home. I believe that sisters need to just get on board and become agreeable. It's not going to hurt you.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah. So I think that's the point.
May I ask a question in that?
Ask a question, then I have to go to the next call.
Yes, absolutely. Well, you know what? I'll table that for another time. Thank you so much for the
Are you in the academy?
This is my 28th consecutive academy.
Okay.
This is Power STL in the academy chat. Power STL.
Okay.
I'm there all the time.
Well, sister, you said 28th Academy. I'm glad you called because I don't know if you got the original, the book, the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire and the Empire of the Edomite.
I do. Is that it's a blue and white, like a light blue and white book?
Yeah, you have it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I can't give it to you then. I'm signing this and giving it out this weekend. So you almost had this book. But I'm going to sign this and give it to someone. I'm going to sign something else and
give it to me. I don't have one signed by you.
Oh, I'll sign something else, but I don't want to give you a book that someone else can use who don't have it, right? So,
yes.
But
Yes,
I will give something else to you, okay? Where the Edomites admit that the Roman Empire are Edomites, and it's from a record from 1853. That the people today that are claiming through religion is one thing, but they don't know. A lot of them don't know today that they're Romans who converted, and they're really Edomites. And it's in this book that was printed in 1853 reprint. So I'm going to talk about this, and I'm going to also send this out to one of our loyal academites like yourself. So see you Sunday in our lesson to the women, where we're going to be talking about the true purpose of a woman. Very good lesson taught for the first time. I'll see you this Sunday. It's going to be deep. Shalom. Bless you. All right. We have 2 minutes before the calls are cut off. All right. 2 minutes, or you will not be able to get in. All right. We have Alize. Lord have mercy. This Eliza. I'm about to say Alize. I know what time period she came up in. Eliza has a comment.
Hello, Elder. How are you?
How you doing, Eliza? I thought it was Alize. I'm like, you must have came up during my time. Well, go ahead.
No.
All right. Talk to me, Eliza. The floor is yours.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to touch on the fact that I have a good friend who is a personal banker for Chase Bank, and for the last few months, he's been sharing with me stories of people coming from various countries. The main country is Venezuela. These immigrants are coming in, and they don't have little to no income, but they're applying for loans. They give them a social and applying for loans, and somehow in his system, they're coming back approved for $200,000, $325,000. Today, one was $325,000. He said one guy got approved for a brand new. What's the car that you said had the snake? Because he shared with him what kind of car he wanted, and he needed to get a car loan for it. It was the one with the Italian. I can't think of it.
Oh, you talking about
the snake eating the person?
You talking about the Italian car with the man eating the snake? The Moor.
The Alfa Romero.
The Alfa Romero car, yeah.
Yes, sir. And he was like, he was sharing with the guy. He was like, you know what? I've been looking at that car for the last 2 years. And now he's a personal banker. He makes really good money. And he said he can't even afford it. And here's this guy. He's been in the country almost 6 weeks. Little to no income. He's delivering pizzas. I mean, that's what he put on his loan application.
So you mean to tell me, hold up, sister. You mean to tell me, if maybe my ears, I got to get this straight. That someone has come over that was an asylum seeker from Venezuela and immediately got a loan to be able to get an Alpha America out of nowhere, when they won't give our people loans for a hot dog stand in America.
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to ask you, sister, if someone told you can come to America and get a $200,000 loan, living somewhere else, where would you go?
I would come to America.
So why you think they're doing this to slight us? Can you see this? They won't even forgive the loans of our sisters who have this debt, the school debt. They won't even forgive those loans. They could if they wanted to, but they'll let someone come in who didn't do anything to get a loan of $250,000. But go on. This is deep.
Yes, sir. That's true. And I'm one of the sisters who have a $66,000 student loan debt, 4 degrees, and I'm only using one. at the current time. So.
Sister, let me tell you. The interest in those things and the way they work out, you may think it's $66,000, but you'll be paying that forever.
That's true. I did apply for the Biden relief, so fingers crossed.
You applied for it? Are they actually? Because I heard that the Biden relief plan, I heard that was struck down by the Republicans, as they claim. They are taking applications for relief?
You can still apply for it. Now, the first time I applied, they immediately denied me. This was 2 years ago, or when it first happened. And I reapplied 2 months ago. So after this, if it doesn't work, I'm not going to worry about it because I don't use my credit anyway.
Okay. And unless sometimes maybe the Most High will bless you and you'll just, one thing good about it is having it is if you're paying on it, it still goes towards, a good credit score. Right. So.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, bless you.
Well,
all right.
sir, thank you, sir. But my credit is 785, so I'm good, actually.
All right. Suki now. I'll tell you what. Hey, as long as you're able to stay afloat, hey, before it's over, none of us aren't gonna own any debt anyway. We're gonna leave Babylon with much substance, right? So, hey, all right. Well, bless you.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. Shalom.
Yes, sir.
All right. 228 area code. Who that? Abijah? Abijah. Is your phone okay? It seems like you're in some type of
yeah, I got you.
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
No.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. The floor is yours.
Oh, Khan. Shalom, Elder.
Shalom.
I wanted to say all praises to the Most High for this broadcast. As usual, Elder, you brought it, and it just everything that I was going to say in the comment, it just all got brought out. So all I wanted to say was Tawada, and this broadcast was amazing. And keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. All praises be to the Most High. I'm listening. I'm listening.
Shalom.
Shalom. All right, going down the line, we have Marika. Marika with a testimony. Eureka. How you doing?
Shalom, elders.
Shalom, sister. Floor is yours. You have a testimony?
Well, yes, my name is Marika. I'm from the Atlanta Body. Shalom, everybody. And I just wanted to share an experience that I have with being evicted.
Okay.
If that's okay, Elder.
What happened?
Okay.
You mean,
Okay. Well,
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Well, I'm from Tennessee, and I'm from Chattanooga, and I was living in an apartment complex for almost 10 years. And it's a low-income apartment complex. And so around 2018, they ended up selling the apartment complex to a private investor. And they came in and they got tax credits, and they ended up taking investments to improve the apartment complex. And so they hired, contractors and different people from out of town to come in and update this apartment complex.
Go ahead.
So before they got there, I ended up having a sewer line back up and ended up destroying all of my property because everything was contaminated with raw sewage. So they ended up moving me into a different apartment. And while I was living in that apartment, they came in and they started doing a renovation. So, while we were living in the apartments, they were doing renovations, which was stressing everybody out, especially the elderly people. And they, very rude. One day I ended up having to leave the apartment because they were doing renovations. And I work from home, so I ended up having to go to work.
So what happened, though?
So
let's get to the quick side of it. So what happened?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, they vandalized the apartment, and I ended up having to leave the day that they vandalized the apartment, the office people.
Okay,
I ended up filing a police report.
Okay, so what happened was, in the midst of them claiming that they were renovating it, it was really a way of pivoting, moving you out of the place.
Yes,
So they
it was.
sabotage you. You thought that you would be leaving temporarily, not realizing they made it worse to a degree where what? They told you can come back later, or they just pivoted altogether and said you cannot come back.
No, I left on my own. I ended up leaving on my own because they vandalized the apartment while I was at work. I came home and the door was open. They vandalized it and left a note. And they ended up stealing some of my rent receipts. But I actually had copies of the rent receipt, so I was, okay with that. But I left. I ended up getting a different apartment.
Hold up. They left a note. What was the note?
They left a note saying that we told you that we were coming into the apartment today, and actually they vandalized the apartment by dropping off all of the trash from the previous apartment that was contaminated with raw sewage.
Oh, that don't sound well at all. So there was no recourse you could have taken to make sure that they would make sure your voucher or some money would go towards temporary housing until it's fixed? This doesn't seem legal to me, what happened to you. Or you just threw your hands up altogether?
Well, once they vandalized the apartment, I had to leave. There was no way for me to even move around the apartment because it was just so much trash and stuff everywhere.
Well, I understand that, but I'm talking about temporal housing, being that the fact that it was their fault that you were without housing, correct? Isn't there temporal housing to put you in place until the apartment is resolved?
No, they didn't have anything for us.
Interesting. So are you doing okay now? You're just saying how they're sabotaging our sisters now in public housing, in a nutshell.
Right. So I moved into a different apartment complex, and I was working, and then my check ended up short. So I called payroll, and I'm like, why is half of my check gone? And they said that my check was being garnished. And so I called the courthouse to find out what was going on, and then they ended up suing me for $25,000 and evicted me from that apartment complex, saying that I owed them rent. So they evicted me a year after I moved out.
Man. Well, I'm sure there's other issues. There's probably some underlying stuff that's going on there. Did you get a lawyer?
Well, I called several attorneys in the city and even, in other places in Tennessee. And every time I would call an attorney, they would say, we'll give you, I would tell them a little bit about the situation. I would give them my name. They would say they would call me back. And then when they did call me back, they would say, hey, we're not accepting any new clients right now. So I could never find an attorney in the state of Tennessee. So, I did speak with Elder Chapat, and he gave me some really great advice. I was able to go to court. They denied everything that I asked for. I gave them proof that I didn't owe the money. I gave them my rent receipt, and the judge told me to go and sit down and to wait. And people in the courtroom were clapping. Everybody was excited because I came to court and I said, hey, I've got over 1,000 documents to prove that I don't owe this money, that, I actually did pay my rent. And she told me to go and sit down, that she would look over the documents. And at the end of the court day, I looked around and the entire courtroom was empty. And so she called me to the front and she told me that I still had to pay it. And I asked her why, and she said that I just had to. And I mean, I cried about it. I told her, she said, well, you're going to have to pay it or it's going to mess up your credit. And I told her, I said, that's not fair to me because I don't have any debt.
Okay, well, I do got to get to the next call, but this is a perfect example of what we're talking about. How they tossing people around, putting debt on our sisters and our people here while they're giving loans willy-nilly to anyone coming over a border, right? So, well, I'll pray for you, sister, but I'll tell you this, right? Sometimes we have to chalk it up and, if you can't afford it, you can't afford it. This is not criminal. So it'll probably hit your credit, but after a certain amount of time, that'll fall off your credit. But you don't have no money to fight this. So I would just let it, I would say call back Chapat and see what recourse you can make as far as an appeal goes. But outside of that, as long as it isn't criminal, something that'll hit your credit or whatever the case is, or maybe you can think about countersuing. But if you do that, you have to pay a lawyer for that. So I would say call Shapat. He's the legal guy, and he can give you the directions on what next steps to take, being that they ruled against you. I don't know what the argument is on the other side. Not to say it's justified, but I just don't know it. I don't know, right? But I would say speak to Shapat, see what recourse you have now, to see if there's a case in which you can get a lawyer involved and actually sue for punitive damages if need be. All right?
Absolutely. Thank you, Elder.
Thank you, Marika. And you're good now. You're in a house now, right? You have shelter.
Yes.
All right.
Yes,
Okay. All
things
right.
are great.
All right.
Thank you.
Praise the Most High. All right.
I'll say this.
Gloria has a comment.
Hi, Elder.
How are you, Gloria?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, I am good, sir. Hey, I'm gonna be quick. I wanted just to make a couple of comments, and I first of all, I'm gonna jump a little bit off of what I wanted to say I'm so happy that the lesson, all of the lessons actually, and the way that the Lord uses you and Elder Loya. You know, the Bible teaches us that we prophesy in part, that the whole of the intentions would come forth. And I want to say I was so blessed tonight in listening to the lesson, because as you elaborated and laid out the actions that we are to look for, and then you brought in Elder Lawyer to tie that thing back over as you guys bring that prophecy together, but you bring it in your pieces, and then it all makes sense. And so I'm just so thankful that GLCC is available, especially in this critical hour, in this age of humanity. The second thing I wanted to quickly say is the story that that young lady just gave is a story that is happening all over the nation. And when you were asking the other lady, so my daughter was evicted illegally. So they're doing these things, and when you look at the levels of the systems that are coming against our people, this lady was dealing, that they're coming against them in such a way that they don't know where to turn, many of them, because it's so heavy. And so my daughter just went through that. She's out of her Section 8 housing. So they're doing this all over the nation, but the problem is that it seems like it's isolated because our people are not able to collaborate in a way that they should with regard to what's happening with these women being put out of these houses. But we are in such a time right now that we're the massive war that is going on against us that you so eloquently continue to lay out for us every time you come to the table, come to serve us up a meal. And if we are listening to the meal that you're serving, God is using you that we might be directed. And so you were asking the one lady about what it is that we as women ought to be doing with these foreign women that are coming in. And I began to think, I said, the first thing we need to do is we need to explain to them who they are in their spiritual heritage. They need to know that we are sisters and we are on a mission, that there is a war going down and they are being brought in to be used against us. So the message of your message tonight is the prophecy that we must carry forward.
No,
and we must continue as we engage these people.
No. Just to clear it up, and I think you're right on that part about the sisters coming in, but it was more so directed to the sisters who are already being attacked, the daughters of Zion, Judah, who's here in America, who don't have no help. And now women are coming in that's going to try to really get with a lot of men that would be options for them. What message do we give our sisters who are already behind the 8 ball, who's already ostracized and are left out without any level of connection or relationship? What message? And I was, those sisters. I pose that question to the sister, not about the women that are coming in, but the women that are here already that are really between the crosshairs. Right now, they did a job on men, but men have recovered and have pivoted and began to just operate, understanding the landscape. But I don't believe the sisters know that they have taken The bullseye is still on us, but now they're focusing on oppressing the sisters because they need the housing the sisters are in. So that's a pressing situation. They're focusing on destroying our sisters now. And I was asking the sister that, I was asking her, what advice would you give the younger women who are here and who aren't prepared for what's about to happen? And sometimes, sometimes they can hear it from, an older woman, a woman of wisdom, in a way, because sometimes I think our sisters, our younger sisters, are seeking guidance from the elder women on what to do now. And so what would your suggestion be if you can round it up in 30 seconds?
I would say absolutely, because I have daughters, and my daughter has just recently gone through that. The thing that I told my daughter is, first, she's got to seek ye first the kingdom of God. She got to talk to God about that thing. And then as a woman who's a mature woman who can see the dangers of where she's headed, because what I would say to my daughter all the time is, honey, listen, we're in a war. And so when you're in a war, that means that you have to understand that the carnal weapons that you intend to use, your carnality, the things that you think the world can show you are not really what you can use. You need to be thinking according to the spiritual realm, because see, the Lord can look around your tomorrow and he already know that they coming for you. But you won't have the intuition to know that they coming unless you connect it. And see, that connection is what many of them are missing because of the complexities of so many of the situations. But I just directed her in every way, in everything that I asked her to do. Talk to your legislature. You write some letters. You begin to make some noise to let these people know they're not going to come in and just put you out on the street without somebody knowing it.
Well, thank you, sister.
I got it.
I got to go.
Illegal.
Thank you, sister. I got to go to the next call, but thank you. Hope y'all listening, sisters.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
sister. Bless you. All right. We have Girleen has a comment.
Hi. Good evening, Elder Rakashiar, Elder Loya. How are you?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
I'm doing good. I'm blessed. Thank you.
All right.
So as always, all of your lessons bring so many valid points to the table that it's hard for me to figure what I should or need to comment on. Lord help me.
Okay, the floor is yours now. I'm running out of time here. So you got to get up on it.
One of the things that I wanted to comment on is the fact that I think there's maybe a little bit of, so as far as I can see, and I've spoken to, some other people in regards to the fact that, we keep being directed to look at the fact that all of these migrants are coming over the border from Mexico. But in actuality, from what myself and others are seeing, most of the migrants are not coming from there. They're actually coming from Asia. And a lot of these people are being given very high.
Well, let's make it clear. Asia too.
Yes.
But there's different political initiatives for each of the groups in priority. The Asians that are coming over aren't coming over to lay on the ground and wait for asylum. That's for our people. The Asians are coming over with another class and another really financial bracket for their people altogether. So I wouldn't say one against the other. It's also. We're getting inundated from every side. It's not one or the other. It's not, they're not coming in from Mexico. They're coming in from every place, whether it be Mexico, flying in a plane from China, whether it be on ship. Okay. It's happening. That's the plan. But go on.
Yes. And I actually see where a lot of the Asians are being incentivized. They are getting care to where they're being I mean, it seems like they're being told to come here and have children, and there's actually a plan for them to be able to have children, if not naturally, with the assistance of the medical establishment here in the U.S., and a lot of them are taking advantage of that. The second thing I wanted to...
Sister, I'm going to let you in because this shouldn't be a foreign thing to us, right? Because it happened for us before. Even though it wasn't international, I don't know if you remember the great migration from the South to the North we had during the industrial age, when there was jobs in Detroit, Carpenter Drive, where they was building the cities here in the West, in the East Coast, where a lot of our families came down into, like my family came from Louisiana, North Carolina, down to North, and they gave us free housing. There was loans. There was a lot of stuff they gave us to build the next infrastructure here down north. So this is not too foreign. They did this for us within the country before. But now it's on the next level. We're in the technological age where now they're bringing people from afar now and giving them what they once gave us. So it's not too foreign what they're doing. It's just that they're not utilizing Americans for it anymore. We're under a world government and a world scenario now where it's not between states anymore. Now they're coming in from out the country to get what used to be solely those who are Americans. So I just want to make sure we get that optic together, that this isn't foreign. And that's why I'm surprised our people are allowing this to happen. And on top of that, I'm surprised our people are voting for it. That's the shocking part on my side. How can we be voting for it knowing where this goes? But go on.
One of the things that I'm most proud of in my life, and it's the fact that I've never voted, and I'm proud of that because based on all the information and everything that I've seen, you're voting for two parties, and you're voting for the slave master that you prefer, and it doesn't matter which one you go for. It's still which slave master do you prefer as far as our kind is concerned. So I'm so proud of the fact that I've never voted. To me, at this point, it's just a matter of them letting you feel like your participation was of any effect or of any importance. I'm so happy I've never voted. Republican, Democrat, it doesn't make a difference to our kind of people.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but this is like
I don't even.
Just say if we were a part of the political process, there's one thing that I would probably would have liked to have seen. I would have liked to have seen our people use the process like other nations use it, where the only time we're going to participate in it is if we're together and we're getting something solely for us. If there was, if I seen our people utilizing it like that, then it would be a point where at least it would make logical sense. If it, in the event of our people saying, like when Italians come over to vote and get into office, they're pushing legislation that's going to give them union jobs, that would give them contracts to pave the streets, where that sector would be specifically for their family, for Italians. Now, if our people use a political process like that, then I would say, well, okay, you're on to something, because at least it's through your self-interest. To vote, listen to what I'm saying, to vote for reasons like, well, we need to vote because our foreparents died giving us the right. That's a stupid way of viewing the voting process. Voting have always been politics, and politics is transactional. I'm giving you something by giving you the office that you'll make millions of dollars with so that you can give me something. That's been politics since the beginning of a republic. Since politics have ever been created, that you don't ever give someone something for nothing. So Asians are coming over here with a political understanding of what politics is. So what I'm saying is, I don't agree with the process because really, the process of America was set up to keep the status quo. The children of Israel on the bottom. Yeah. The only reason I would have liked to see us utilize it if we were going to do it that way, so that they can actually come out the enemy and not hide anymore and say, well, listen, we hate you. And it doesn't matter if you vote. And it's time to sell you since you have figured out the system so we can show you who we truly are. If we would have did the process right, they'd have got politics out of the way and just shown their hand initially. They would have been like, nix this. We can't trick you through politics. So let me let you know. They would show their horns and say, die already. So that's why I wish.
Elder,
yeah, but go on.
In my mind, the reason we could never do that is that subconsciously whether we admit it or acknowledge it or not, we are people of the truth. And once we detect the lie, we are turned off, and we either refuse to participate or only participate in part.
Yeah, because listen. Let me show you something. I'm gonna place you on hold. I'm gonna show you how we all got down together in Egypt to show you how, as an example, how we was able to influence the political structure. Right? When we all came on one accord and said we weren't going to do anything, and we had one resounding voice representing us, which was Moses, then the policy amongst Egypt is, well, you know what? We're going to make it harder on the people, on all your people, because of this one guy. We're going to make you build bricks without straw. So at least Pharaoh came straight out and showed who he was against and who he was attacking for whatever reason. And the reason was because we were the children of Israel, whom that government was benefiting from, and thereby refused to let us go. He wanted to keep the status quo. We was on one accord that if you don't do what we need you to do, we're not participating in the process of your government to help bless you above all nations amongst the Mesopotamian area. We was on one accord politically to where Pharaoh had to show his horns. See? So if we were rolling like that, I would be like, well, okay. Because so that means we all are on one accord when it comes to what? Our traditional and moral values also. Which means if you want our vote, you can't do nothing to our babies. We're responsible for bringing our babies in here and making sure that they're following the law of God, and we're not into any immoral perversion, sexual activity attached to us amongst this constituency. You can't attach us to trans or any other thing because what? That's against our moral standings. And we would have that political standing so that they cannot actually attach that to us. If we were together, we could do that. See? So here we are. So my issue is that our people are using the political process, but they're not using it for what it's for. They're using the political process emotionally. Because we crossed the bridge together and our forefathers had water hose sprayed on them. So I'm going to vote because someone died for me to do it. That's a stupid mindset. That's an unintelligent mindset when it comes to the voting process. Every other people in this earth, when they vote, is not emotional. They're voting to get something for their particular group, period. They don't care about black and brown people. They don't care about anything. They only care about what are you doing for us. If I'm Asian, if an Asian person, they're not voting for a black person's interest or a white person's interest. They're voting for Asian interests. It's not emotional. It's a transaction. I'm putting you in position to make money in public office. Okay. And by doing so, that's right. It's a transaction. You're going to do something for me. You're not going to tell me what you're going to do for me. I'm going to tell you how you're going to represent me. That's how everyone else used the process except our people. Rosa has a question. Last call for this evening. Shalom, Rosa.
Hey, Elder.
How you doing, Rosa?
Hey, I'm good. I've called in before. So I heard you say tonight, and I've heard you say this before, and I don't really agree. And I made that, and I posted that in the comments, and the moderators, they put me in timeout. Although I did not, disrespect anyone. What I said was, well, let me just tell you what I disagree with.
Okay.
I've heard you say before that women, that in this economy, 2 incomes are needed. You didn't say 2 incomes are helpful. You said they're necessary or it's needed. But although, I'm curious as to why you believe that when the Bible says that a woman is to be a keeper at home, and the man is to be the provider for his household.
Well, sister, ideally, under the biblical traditional frame, right? If we weren't living in the Western world, okay, that would be applicable. In the biblical times, sister, you have to realize we had our own sheep, our own land. We have to pay taxes on that. So men can go out and build their own business without the threat of it being taken away and provide for the home solely. In the Western world, how the economy is set up, what is the medium income for a black man and or a black woman in the United States? I'm going to ask you, what's the medium income?
I'm not sure, but I know it's not high.
Okay, let me break it down to you. The medium income is about $42,000, right? Now, if you talk about one person, 42 to 46, it depends on which graph you look at, right? The black man makes a little bit more than the black woman in the United States, okay? The white man, medium income, makes $1,000 more than the black man. You understand? The Asian man makes more than the white man and the black man in the United States currently. But the medium income is about $40,000 to $46,000. Individually, if you're looking at the numbers, that's almost based on inflation, especially what's been happening the last 4 years under the Biden administration in gas. That puts one income almost under the poverty line when it comes to cost of living. So it's almost an impossibility, and this is maybe I needed to clear it up for you. It's almost an impossibility to live on one income and have something left for your children after you're no longer here. So maybe I needed to clarify that. It's enough to survive. Okay. It's enough to survive if, sister, and I'm saying this to you is because why? This is not a new idea. White people who make more than our people understand this concept in the Western world that in order for them to thrive, guess what? Their wife, their mother, the wife, even the white man, his woman works to a certain degree until they decide to do what? Get enough money to be able to pivot and use money for investments or whatever. And then they plan their children accordingly to phase her into motherhood, not having to work. And even after that, she will take care of the child for a certain amount of time and go straight to work. And this is their empire. They know that they cannot thrive in this empire the way it's set up without both working. So that's not an old concept. So I understand what you're saying, the traditional way that would leave it where a woman would actually be a provider and keeper of the home. But based on the financial landscape, it isn't like that no more if you're seeking to have something left for your children. It's just you.
Okay.
That I'm saying before you say okay, Do you understand why, based on the numbers, I stated that?
I do understand, but I don't really agree.
Sister, listen. In this program, right? Right now, what I'm holding in my hand is a JBL speaker that's gold. Are you following me?
Yes.
Okay, you're speaking through this. You can think it's silver and disagree, and I wouldn't argue with you. I'm giving you the numbers. And the reality is, at the end of the day, if the median income is mid 40,000, and then as you get older, that peaks out around 55 years of age where a man will make as much as he'll make, and then the finances decline. So this is nothing that is not agreeing or disagreeing. It depends on whether or not you want to leave something for your family in a time of inflation where their prices out of being able to live and eat. So ideally, can you have one income, average making $50,000 a year with one family? Ideally, yeah. You can do that, but you can't have no expectations for finances in the future for your children. So this is not a thing about whether or not you agree or disagree. Those are numbers. Okay, and one thing about facts, they're stubborn things. Okay? So you have anything else to say before I go to the next call?
I mean, I only know what the Bible says, Elder, and I'm really surprised that, you know, for all the stuff that you preach on here about finances.
See? No, we're not, you can't do that, okay? I'm speaking what's logical. And how can you say about the Bible, and I ain't teach nothing but the Bible all night? See, and this is the disrespect that normally doesn't happen with any other people. We shutting it down from now on, okay? No, get in line, okay? That's what you do, okay? We're not dealing with it anymore, okay? We have men trying to save our people, and you disagreeing with it isn't changing the dynamics that our sisters are suffering. And it's you, people like you, questioning us, trying to direct our people from their own demise is the problem. So don't come with, you're bringing the Bible and we're not bringing the Bible. If you got a man providing for you where you don't have to worry about it, what's the issue? Okay? Our people have been working here since chattel slavery. So working isn't a new idea for our people with two people working in the same household to make ends meet. That's not a foreign thing, even though the Bible states a man should provide. We've always worked together and pulled income together. Mm-hmm. So you're disagreeing just to disagree, and we're not having it no more. Okay? I've never known a time throughout our time here in Babylon that you didn't have two families where a woman is out doing what she got to do to make ends meet, and they're bringing their money home together. So that means you're arguing with a different, I'm going to tell you, you disagree with something else. Okay? Because this is not even something that you can even argue. And you need to be honest and give us what your true issues are. And stop dancing around and trying to make reasons to disagree when there is no reason to disagree. I made it clear to you that if you want to have one income, right, with your husband, if you have one, and he take care of you, that can happen. There's many families out there where a man is making enough for a woman not to work. That's the goal. That's the goal eventually, to make sure your woman don't have to work out there. Okay? But I'm not going to agree. I'm not going to allow you to come in and disrespect just for the sake of agreeing, because we know you got another issue that you're not even talking about. And that's why you're blocked. So do us a favor. Don't call into our phone. Don't call into here, bring your negativity anymore. We're done with it. Okay? Our people are under duress right now. They need direction. Okay? And we're done with it. Okay? Those days are done. where you can call in and disagree just to disagree. Find some place where you can agree at. You're not going to shame us into some nonsense. Okay? We don't deal with it anymore. All right?
And if you don't mind, just two quick scriptures.
All right. Bring your video back in, Elder Lawyer.
All right. First and foremost, this concept of a one-income household in the scriptures, where the man just worked, even though that did exist, that's romanticizing what was taking place back then. Women also did work in ancient times and brought in income as well. I'm going to give 2 examples. And even as you mentioned, if you want to go back to the 30s and the 40s, our women would, while men were out doing certain work, the women would do what? They would go out, they would deal with domestic work. They would take care of people's children. They would be housemaids and things of that nature. So there really hasn't been a time in this country in which we weren't operating off of a 2-parent income.
So, Elder Lawyer, before we go there, though, right? Let's just concentrate on this, Elder Lawyer.
Yeah.
She's bringing an issue when there was no issue.
Exactly.
That's the whole point.
Exactly.
Because I don't have to go through a big in scriptures, observable life. Us coming in over here in cargo slave ship lets you know that man and woman, the black man and black woman has always worked.
Right.
So that's right. Nothing. So and it's all through the Bible. So I don't know what she think was going on during Egypt's time. You think our women weren't doing things and serving during the time of the Egyptians? So the frustrating part of this is that out of all people, this is what we have to deal with. And I'm glad she called up so that brothers and sisters can see it outright. Because because people like to claim that men aren't standing up, men aren't teaching, and this is why some women are out of order.
Right.
But instead of her calling in and encouraging us to help continue to help our people, like a lot of sisters do, in a respectful manner, it's like she resents the fact that we're actually teaching our people what's coming.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you, that's the issue. That's the issue. The issue is when other people are coming in to represent their people and help their people, they don't have this same pushback by their women. They don't have that. Because their women understand that man is representing them and it's for their turn. And guess what? They don't do it. Other women, even if they disagree with their man, they don't do it publicly. Because they understand the overarching plan, the overarching scenario we have here is to help our people. But I'm glad she called up so that brothers and sisters can actually see it. Right. There's nothing out of all the stuff she's going to pull out of that broadcast. That's what she gleaned to call in to disagree with.
Right.
So no, there is no, let her believe whatever scripture she wants. Okay, because observable reality stated, okay, that in slavery, the woman worked and the man worked. The white man, and this is his empire. I had a boss that was pulling down 70 when I was working Fortune 500 company. At that time, his scale was about 70,000 before incentives. And he had a working wife working in another office, some other place. And he was making something upper middle class. And his wife was still working. So it's just frustrating. And I just wanted this to be highlighted. And I'm glad the Most High had a call in. Because so that when people claim there aren't no brothers standing up, and this is why women are disagreeable, we can now cut and frame this last call so that people can, then we can use that and say, okay, So why are women disagreeable now? Why are they disagreeable? It's because men aren't standing up. Men aren't speaking to power. Men aren't trying to direct our people right. Doesn't matter what we do. We'll always have this disagreement. We'll always have someone come in to try to throw negative on what the Most High have set up to help our people. And I'm glad it's highlighted. And I'm going to show you how disagreeable and dishonorable people like that is. She went from getting blocked in the chat to working her way to the phones. This is the danger that we have amongst our people, folks. Doesn't matter how much a man tries to help our people. We'll always have something like that who's willing to put their name and their mouth out there to say, I disagree. So we're going to leave it there. And we'll pray for you. But yes, whatever your name is, sister, whatever, we'll pray for you. Please don't call our phones anymore. If you want, you don't have to watch the videos. It's up to you. They're resourceful. They can help you. But if all you see is negative, I don't know how you can see that in this video, then you should be watching something that you'll agree with. Okay? Elder Lawyer, thank you. I have some lasagna.
Sure.
All organic ingredients that I'm going to enjoy tonight. We're going into a lesson this coming Sunday. The true purpose of a woman, according to God. And it's going to be all positive. And the sister that probably called in, right? The Bible says, keep your mouth, right? Keep your mouth. When you're standing before men who are bringing the word of the Most High, you know, you have to keep your mouth, or you give a sacrifice of a fool. Sometimes being quiet is okay. All right? So I suggest you probably get into that lesson and understand what your purpose is according to God. Your purpose isn't to correct men. Okay? Your job is your house. So when you talk about a virtuous woman, you should be looking over your house under the direction of your husband. So the question is there a husband that would have told you, no, you don't do that when men are bringing forth key, pertinent, prophetic information? So we have to ask, next time, have your husband call up. Okay? I suggest you go to get that lesson, A True Purpose of a Woman. And that's a woman being in order with men. All right, Elder Lawyer. May the Most High be with you. Stay prayed up, sin not. And keep in mind the Most High is calling back the children of Israel. Shalom. I see you this Friday on Patreon. Blessings and have a good evening. And yes, I'm going to whip up some food and with a little salad on the side, and I'm going to pray and, get ready for tomorrow. Shalom. And again, Shalom, Mother Lawyer. And again, this is how you can support the broadcast if these broadcasts have benefited your life. Okay. As you can see right there, it's $GOCC 144 donate. $GOCC 144 donate is for the online classes in specific. If you want to support, do so. If you don't have Cash App, go to gatheringofchrist.org. And I'm sure there's other ways you can continue helping and supporting this work so that we can get more schools and all that, more churches and all that throughout the earth before the end comes. And keep in mind, the Most High is calling back the children of Israel. Good evening. And be blessed by the best. His name is Ahaya. Shalom.
Ruben from Australia. It's a compliment to Kansas. Ahaya's gathering news right now. The Negroes, Benjamin Bell was the Indians. Viva the Haitians. Africans. That's who we be. We be Judah, the Negroes, Benjamin, the West Indians, Levi, the Haitians, Manasseh, the Cubans, Ephraim from Puerto Rico, Naphtali from the Isles of Hawaii. The Lord is calling back Israel. Zebulon from Panama, Gad, the North American Indians, Simeon.